Hello there, welcome to the live stream. My name is Bruce Rain from Breakers Creations. Thank you very much for joining me today. Even though that says up there, cloudy sky, it's actually quite sunny outside right now, so there you go. I hope everyone is well, and I hope everything is working. I hope there's sound, there's picture. I look a little bit sort of glary there, don't I? So maybe I should rectify that. Oh, I might get even more glary. That's a little bit better. There we go. Find a not happy medium. There we go. I'm going to do the normal thing here. I'm going to say hello to a few people who have decided to join me today. So I'll say hello to Reed Reinfeld. Hello, Jack68K. Hello, Joe. Hello, Obsidian Zenon. Hello, Frank S. Hello, Bruh. Hello, Ryan Joffrey. And Thomas Armstrong. Frank S. MacMan142, Enzo Fitzhume, Chris Angelis, Scarlet Swordfish, Dana is here. Hello, hello, Dana. When I say hello to Dana, I've got to go hello. And Daniel Tattersall, hello there. Did I miss anyone? I feel like I might have missed someone because I got a little bit sidetracked there, a bit distracted. And I'm sure I mispronounced the name in there somewhere too. But anyhow, I'm good at that. That's one of my special skills is mispronouncing people's names more than once. So anyhow, I'm just going to do a quick little recap of what's been happening with the live stream. Last time I did this, it was bloody hot. It's a lot cooler today. Much, much more pleasant day. Though I think I may have been wearing exactly the same t-shirt. Don't worry, it has been washed. And what else can I say? Oh, t-shirts, of course. Remember, links in the description, QWERTY, where you can get really cool t-shirts like this. There's actually a, what do you call that? Discount code in there where you can get $1 off if you buy a t-shirt. So, yeah. Now, last live stream, I was looking at an LC3 board. Now, this one had a few issues with it. I found some of those issues during the live stream. I found some of those issues later on. Now, the issues I found during the live stream were there was a great big gouge out of the board here, which meant that I had to repair, I think it was about 6 or 7 traces. Very happy with the end result. Very tidy. They're all working. They've all been checked. Everything's fine. What is going on there? A little ripple in the board. Then I basically tried it out. Didn't work. I ran it through the ultrasonic cleaner, and when I got it back, I had a look and I went, oh, there's missing components. But I realised there were missing components right from the word go. K-Mac Vintage, hello. Yep. So up in this region here, up here, the corrosion was so bad that a lot of these components had just fallen off. Now, I don't know how long ago they fell off, but they fell off before I got it in my hands. So there's a whole bunch of resistors up the top here, and there was a little component here where half the pins weren't even touching the pads. The sound chip I need to probably take off and put on again, but, you know, I had all these problems. Now, what actually then happened, I started using my little logical brain, which gets in the way sometimes. And I looked at this, I looked at these glorious connectors here that are absolutely covered in rust. Look at them all, you know. There's no getting away from that. That's there. You know, even if I sand that down, you know, whatever, it's there. And anyhow, I was looking at all these missing components up here, and I thought to myself, I have an LC3 board that doesn't work. And I thought, well, that's great. I'll use that as a donor. I'll use that one as a donor to get the parts put on this. And then a little bit of logic sort of jumped into my head. A little bit of logic. This is my donor board. Look at these beautiful shiny connectors. Look at these beautiful shiny pins of the main CPU. Look how shiny it is compared to this one. I mean, look at them. And then I'm like, why on earth would I take parts off this one to recover this one? It's just stupid. So, at that point I said, no, I'm going to refocus here. I am going to turn this into the donor board, the one with all the rusty connectors, and I'm going to repair this one. Well, repair it I did, because I actually used my thermal camera for this. I had a working LC3. I fired it up, let it run for a bit, put the thermal camera on it, took a picture. Then I fired up this one here that doesn't work, no chime, just dead, just switch it on, just dead. I switched this on and let it run for a while, or not run for a while as the case may be. Then I took a photo of the thermal camera. Now what I was able to see is almost everything on the board was getting power, because all of the chips get warm that are supposed to get warm. They get warm because they're getting power, but they're not thinking, you know, they're just not kicking off, the brain's not working. So, but I did happen to notice that I wasn't getting the sort of heat I would expect from the sound chip. So I thought, maybe there's something going on up in this region. Flip it around to this side. Great big fat capacitor here missing off the board. I'll see if I can actually get that up on the screen, because I think I do have it. Do I have a screen thing here? I'm just going to try that. And, oopsie. This is, I'm using OBS here at the moment, and I'm just going to see if I can add this. Computer screen. No? No. Let's try. I'll try that. I'll go, nope. Hey, Jeremy. Okay, let's go and add a display capture. How about that? Display capture. All right. Oh, look at this. Okay, well, this isn't, I'm just going to show you this. There we go. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. So if I go full screen, can I do that? View. No. Anyhow, so you can see it. There we've got C28, and you've got there's a great big missing component there. You can see the edges of the solder are sort of the sharp, which indicates that there was actually a component there rather than just some empty pads that would have had some round solder on them. So you could see that this one is gone. And so, yeah, that is then, there we go. That is, I replaced that component and it immediately fired up. So essentially, this is going to go into the case of that computer. So this will be the board of it, and I will then probably end up selling it. I will just show you very quickly here. This is the top. This is the top case of that barn find one that I got. Now, as you can see, it is quite a lot cleaner than it was. Managed to get a lot of that dust off. Unfortunately, there are a couple of things wrong with it. So number one, it has a little melty bit here, a little bit of melted plastic. The words LC3 are still reasonably readable. They're a little bit pale. The Apple logo is shot. So if someone is like wanting a perfectly aesthetically beautiful one of these, then this isn't the one for them. I'm going to probably just get rid of the RF shield. I'll be interested to see what people think about that. As you can see, this RF shield has a bit of a rust issue. I'm probably just going to throw this away and sell it without it. I don't think anyone's particularly concerned about RF from these in this day and age, in this digital age. So just interested in your thoughts about this. Rob T, hello there. Luke Davis, hello there. Okay, I've been absolutely not looking at the chat, so I'm going to have a look. No, it was not a 47 microfarad capacitor that fell off. It was a silly size. It's so small, I'm going to have trouble reading this. I might need the microscope. It was a 1 microfarad. Yeah, I think it's a 1 microfarad. So there you go. LC3 still on my want list. Well, if you're in this part of the world, you could buy this one when I put it up on eBay. So, yeah. Mitch Kramer? Hola? 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 Yeah, I've got to say it right. I was about to pronounce the H. Not supposed to do that. Unfortunately, I lost one of my computers in the late hours of yesterday. My Toshiba Satellite 310 CDS was consumed by 2 evil Vata batteries. The OPL chip is shorted and the thing fizzled out. That is terrible. Sean, Action Retro is here. Hello there and welcome to the stream. If I haven't said this before, I've made lots and lots of jokes about the fact that Sean now has 100,000 subscribers. I now need to actually say, without jokes and with absolute complete sincerity, congratulations, Sean. I am so pleased that you have made it to the 100,000 mark, and it is absolutely and completely and totally deserved. You have just done such a fantastic job. You virtually have written the book on how to grow a YouTube channel, and we all know what we need to do. We just don't necessarily do it. You do. Yes, it is a real. It's a bugger when you lose computers through sort of battery damage. Someone posted a pic on one of the Facebook forums recently of a 2CX. They'd stored on the side, and the battery corrosion is just unbelievable. Because it was on the side, the goop had fallen down and actually corroded one of the display cards as well. It's awful. I mean, it's just awful when you look at it, especially when you know it's something that could have been prevented. But that's just sort of how it goes. Yeah. So anyhow, this is the LC3. I'm going to probably clean the bottom part as well. I've got to sort out the floppy drive. I'm going to have to probably have a look at the power supply. I haven't looked at any of the power supplies of these yet, so they're probably going to need a bit of work too. But then, yeah, I will have another LC3. So I have at the moment a complete LC3, and I have an LC3 logic board, and then this one that I got from the barn find. So I think I've only got one logic board. I might even have 2 logic boards. Possible. But anyhow, I will be able to have my own LC3, and I will then also be able to sell an LC3, and then I think I still have a spare logic board after that. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that spare logic board, but I might use it as part of a project, maybe 3D print some sort of case, something along those lines. So anyhow, here's the good one. He's now working. This is the corroded one. This is going into the donor bin. Lot of good parts on this because a lot of these LCs did share parts, so I'll potentially be able to use parts from this on other computers as well. So yeah, that's pretty good. It's good to have that as a donor. Yeah, all nice. So I'm going to recap it, which is unnecessary for donor, but unless it's not going to keep leaking. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at something else. See, here's that LC3 board, and here's that LC3 board. Where did I put the plug for the thingy? Oh, it might be upstairs. Never mind. We'll worry about that later. There's always time to find the thingies. You know what I was going to do today? I was going to bring down a new blade to use as heat shields for when I'm soldering, because I have lost pretty much all of the other ones. So I was going to bring a nice shiny new blade down, but I didn't. Micro Mage Repair, hello there. Need more whiteboard guy. When you're going to make a human-sized ultrasonic bathtub, not good for the body, seeing as the body has a lot of liquid in it that can actually go through cavitation if you submerge it in an ultrasonic cleaner. It's not good for you at all. Right, so this is what we're working on today. Another dirty Mac. Dirty. Now, one of the great things about the LC2 versus the LC3 is this was made prior to the plastic formula changing. So these guys are really robust. Now, I say that now, it'll probably break as soon as I open it up because, you know, I set myself up for that. This one here doesn't look too bad from the bottom. What have we got? We've got the same rust, but not as bad around the connectors here. But hopefully this will all be good. SadMac356, did I say hello to you? If not, hello. Um, Francois, hello there. Welcome. Yep. All right. Now this one's not as bad in terms of the rust on the RF shield. This I can just clean up. I'm not going to need to dispatch of that. I'm setting myself up here where I'm putting all these computers on my exit. So it basically means that I can't leave. I'm stuck here. There's not a lot of rust on the top of the floppy drive. That's good. That's heartwarming. And the power supply doesn't look too bad either. So it's a TDK. There are two different types of power supplies for these. And this is the TDK type. Let's move this out of the way. Let's change views here, shall we? Yes, we shall. All right, now, what do we know about the LC2? The easy way to tell whether you're looking at LC2 is this here, this little void on the board. As you can see, we've got all these little holes here with nothing on there. This was Apple being pretty cheap, so they built this whole thing with the option for you to be able to put a floating point unit, a math coprocessor onto this, so that it would be faster at calculating floating numbers. But then they cheaped out at the end. They said, no. We don't want to be giving these people that option because this is the cheap model. We can't be going around doing that. That's just stupid. So they just didn't put a socket here. Now, I actually have sockets. So as I do with all of the LC2s I work on, I remove the solder from these holes and I solder on a socket so that you can put a floating point unit on there if and you want to. That's my little middle finger to Apple for what they did to us. So there. Yeah, that board does look gross. It is gross. I mean, it's not just looking gross. It's gross. That's a really long hard drive cable. I don't remember them ever being that long. Who knows? Who knows? Right, now the way we get these boards out, is we have to bend these tabs. There are these little tabs on either side. There's one there, and there's one... Unplug you thing, you, with your sorcerer's ways. There we go, okay. And then you've got a little tab down here as well, and we have to bend them out to slide the board forward. And these are the sorts of tabs that I'm talking about that tend to break on the LC3 and the LC475 and Quadra 605, but they're usually pretty good on these LC2s. So here's our board. Let's take that out. Let's put something else in the way so that I can never leave this place. Oh, what have we got there? That's from something else. Don't know what. Maybe it's from Quadra 605. Possible. Never mind. I might glue it back on. Hard drive cable likely came from a different system. Yeah, I'm just trying to think which ones would have had a longer cable. Probably a 2CI or 2CX probably had a longer cable that had that four-pin plug. This 4-pin plug, 4-pin Molex. Going to the 4 crossways pin, flat one. Low temp hot air to soften them back into place. That's cool. Wouldn't it be good? Wouldn't it be wonderful? There was just a magic thing that we could do. Like if someone just turned around and said, "Oh, your computer is brittle. Your plastic is brittle. Just take the plastic, put it in the oven on, I don't know, 55 degrees Celsius for 1 hour, and it magically restores it back to original." Has anyone tried that? Maybe I should try that. Apple's Anonymous, hello there. Are there FPUs that were THT instead of PLCC? I don't know. You got to remember that the sort of separate floating point unit only existed during the 68020 and 68030 era. By the time we got to 68040, the FPU was being integrated into the main chip. I'm thinking about the Mac 2. Where's Steve? Steve Steve knows a lot about Mac 2s. I've actually got a Mac 2 board here somewhere. What's that one? That's a 2FX. That doesn't count. Same size, but what's this one? That's another 2FX. That must be the Mac 2 there. The Mac 2 had the floating point unit as a different sort of chip, I'm sure of it. It wasn't a PLCC. I think it had pins. It had like straight down pins. But I don't know. I'm getting sidetracked. Okay. Terry Kennedy, hello there. Isn't there a trick with acetone to mend plastics? Well, acetone, of course, does do some amazing things to plastics, but not always desirable things. The biggest issue with a lot of these Mac cases is it's not something you particularly notice, but they all have a microtexture on them. So all of them have a little microtexture on the surface, all over the surface. It's something that they put in the molding. And you kind of do anything to these plastics that's a little bit too harsh, and you lose that microtexture, and it sticks out. It really becomes noticeable. Look at this Apple logo. I want to look at that under the microscope. Let's have a look at this Apple logo under the microscope. Come on, a bit further. There we go. Okay, that's what it looks like. And what you can actually see what the issue is here, that is actually a little metal thing, and it's ended up oxidizing, and the oxidization has just made all the paint come off the front. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I mean, unless someone sells replacement ones of these, I'm not sure. Would it look better just removing it? Maybe. I could get a 3D print one in a single color and stick that in there, and they can call it like it's a prototype. I'll say Apple was trying out the single color logo way earlier than you thought. Take it out and sand off the original paint. Yes, I'm not sure I would want to repaint that. I mean, I could probably with the microscope and a very, very fine paintbrush, but I'm not sure I want to. Right, so let's get rid of that because we're done with the pretty one. And now we go to the uglies. Uglies. All right. Let's get this little plastic thingy off. Now, 17, I think, is the number that pops into my head when it comes to an LC3. That's the number that pops into my head. Does anyone know why the number 17 pops into my head when I think of the LC2? The dead critter. Let's get rid of the dead critter. $17 caps. That is exactly right. Thank you, Dana. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 caps. This little region around here, this is generally one of the things that I say to people. If you are going to test out your recapping skills for the first time, this isn't the board I recommend to use. I think there are other boards out there that are a lot easier. I can actually see quite a lot of gunk on this. The fact that this has 17 caps and a lot in really close proximity around here does make it a fairly difficult board to recap. And I would recommend with people, if they are testing out for the first time, to try a different board. God, there's gunk on this big time, but it's nowhere near a cap. Where the hell did the gunk come from? Has it leaked sideways? Man, this is going to want a clean. Now, one nice thing about this is it came with a 512k VRAM sim, which is the maximum you can put in this computer. So it's nice that's all maxed out rather than a pissy little 512. I mean 256. 256, 512. We can tell them apart because one has 2 chips and the other one has 4. Please, Scuzzy. Oh. Geekenspiel might sell a repo rainbow apple. Well, it might be worth it, or it may not be. Now, these here are RAM sims, obviously, and interestingly enough, I suspect these may be more than one. I don't know yet. We'll test them out later on to find out. But I've got a sneaking feeling they might be more than 1 megabyte, and I'll tell you why. They're 70 nanoseconds. Now, by the time they were getting down to 70 nanoseconds, your 1 megabyte sim would most probably just be 2 chips on it. If you're looking at a 1 megabyte sim that's made up of 8 chips, this has 9 because it's got a parity chip here by the looks of it. But if you're looking at a RAM sim that had 8 chips on it, typically it would be a slower speed, probably 80, maybe even 100 nanoseconds. But the fact that this is 70 makes me think we might have a couple of we might have some 4s here, and that'd be nice, because that's taking this up to the maximum. This one I think has 2 on the board, and then you get 2 4s, it takes you up to 10. This computer will not go past 10. So that's the hope. Look, if that is the case, then I'm very pleased. It's great to have extra 4 megabyte sims, even though I've got my little, where are we? My little magic ones. Here we go. The 4 megabyte sims from Satanic Mac Club. So I did a video on these because I have lots and lots and lots of big old RAM sims that I rated chips and turn them into 4 megabyte sims. 4 megabyte sims, great size to have. If you've got a decent supply of 4 megabyte sims, you know, for these vintage Macs, a lot of these vintage Macs, you can really load them up with RAM. I mean, for example, I've got an SE30, and all I've got in it are these. There's, 8 slots. So what is that? 4 times 8? 32. That's 32 megabytes. That's not bad. Not bad for an old machine running System 7.1. Okay. Yeah, like this is obviously these are the old, 30 pin sims. And this is the big difference between the LC2 and the LC3. The LC3, not only did it have a bigger RAM ceiling, but it has the larger, it has these sorts of RAMs, scissors. I can't remember what the number of pins of these are. 72? 68? I can't remember. Doesn't matter. It's not important. Right, now I'm going to get my little makeup brush if I can find it. Here it is. See, never put things away, you'll never lose them. That's not entirely true, but never mind. Okay, so I'm going to just give this a bit of a dust. I can see little bits of insect on here, little bits of critter. Now, I'm going to just look. I haven't looked at this board closely yet. And remember, with the one that I looked at last, I was feeling reasonably confident. Actually, I wasn't that confident, but I was looking at it, and then I discovered a huge gouge out of the board. So I'm a little bit scared to make any predictions at this time. But I am going to just go on record at this time and say that I think this is about an 80% chance of getting this to work. It may not work straight after recapping. It may need cleaning because there is so much gunk up here. Crusty, baked on gunk that I'll need to get off. But I think that, you know, even if it doesn't just fire up, I think after ultrasonic cleaning, this will probably just fire up. 72 pin. Okay, thank you for all the peoples who helped my silly brain. I have an LC2 just for the nostalgia of what a horribly handicapped computer was. My family had one. You know what the funny thing is? That we talk about the fact that this is handicapped because you can only stick 10 megabytes of RAM in it. Back in the day, when these first came out, it might have been different later on, but when these first came out, no one could afford to stick bloody 10 megabytes of RAM in these. You know, you were lucky if you bloody had 4. You know, people would stick 2 1s in here and then the 2 on board, and they would just run these with 4 megabytes. Because RAM was so freaking expensive. Nowadays, that RAM's a lot cheaper. We go, oh, God, I wish we could stick more than 10 in. But back then, I know. I was there, Gandalf. I was there. Right, let's have a look. Let's have a look at this under the scope-a-rooney. Tooty-tooty-rooney. There we go. Okay, looking at our ROMs. Now, I did notice a fair bit of corrosion on the CPU. Let's get that nice and sharp there. And let's make it so that I can see through my eyes as well. I just wanted to do something here because it just seems a bit silly to me. I don't know why I have it this way. Lock. Shouldn't these be just in the corner like that? Wouldn't it be better? Get more viewing area? I think it's better that way. Would you agree? Yeah, the thing with the thing to remember, like when you know, with a Mac 2, like they had 8 slots on it. It wasn't uncommon because of the price of RAM, that you would have had 4 or 8 256s on there to give you 2 megabytes of RAM, and you could do that. I mean, one forgets that when the Mac 2 first came out, it was running on System 603 or something. And that was a tiny little operating system that didn't take up a huge amount of RAM, and my goodness, it used to fly with that old System 6 on. And I remember when I had a Mac 2, I mean I have one now, but the Mac 2 that I bought, and I was using System 7 on it, I suppose. Then one day, just for a bit of fun, I decided to install System 6 on a hard drive. I might have even done it on a floppy, I can't remember. And I was just blown away by how fast it was, how fast and responsive it was. Do you have a plan for the Rusty DB ports on the back? Also, I caught Crazy Ken's video today where he gave you a shout out. Yes, I've been chatting to Ken, Crazy Ken, quite a bit over the last sort of week. We've been talking about this Scam Buster episode of his, and he contacted me for a little bit of consultation on some of the components on there, and I was also asking me what would be the best way to prove that this doesn't have carbon nanotubes inside it. And I said, well, if you get a little what do you call those knives, I can't remember, those little craft knives. If you get one of those and scrape off the green mask and have a look, and I promise you it'll be copper underneath. And it was so funny because he was showing me photos of the board, and he's like, this, that, and the other. And then I said, the real giveaway on the board is the fact that it has the model number written on it. And when you grab that model number and do a search and find that you can buy them off Amazon for $6, you think, yeah, this is not anything fancy. Exacto, that's the thing. So anyhow, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. I mean, Ken's just a lovely guy. I mean, he's got a great sense of humour, as is indicative in his videos, and I definitely enjoyed helping him out with that. We all stick together, us YouTubers. We're terrible. So anyhow. Check that out. Not now, because you're watching me, but later, check out his scam busting video on this charger. It's quite funny. Some of the claims that they were making on this video that this charger can actually do, this charger that you can buy for AliExpress in quantity for about $1 each. Met Ken at VCF Midwest. Yes, yeah, he's a nice guy. You would have to agree, he is a nice guy. Jared Burma, hello there. System 6, it was not bad, yeah. So my introduction to Macintoshes came as soon as the Macintosh came out, because a friend of mine, shout out to Joe, a friend of mine, their father worked at Apple. And so they actually got to bring a Macintosh home. They used to have an Apple IIe there, but then brought a Macintosh home, and I used to go around there and use this Macintosh and was just dazzled by it. So this would have been an old 128K Mac. And yeah, just absolutely dazzled by it. We couldn't afford one in our family, so I would go and just use that one when I was there. But I just thought they were amazing, just incredible. Just the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. But I didn't actually start working with Macs professionally until 1988. That was the year that I started working full time. And I went, oh, hang on. No, it would be 89. It'd be 89 because in 1988, I did start a job, but not in computers. I didn't start my computery type job until 1989. And that was when I started working with Macs professionally. And at that time, we were using System 6. That did predate System 7 from memory. And I remember when System 7 came out, because I remember the old font DA mover. Anyone who goes back to System 6 and understands the process of the font DA mover to get fonts and desk accessories onto your Mac, then with System 7, you were able to just drag them into the system. Big change, all for the best. All right, let's get some of these caps off the board. So we've got this little look at the crust. Look at the crust. But on the bright side, I don't see any like blackening traces. The traces actually look pretty good. Pretty bloody good. We've got some smear here. I just don't even know where this smear has come from. It's nowhere near a cap. I'm just going to get a Q-tip, or what we call cotton bud, and just do this. I mean, we've got this oily, smeary goop here. Look at that. Where did it come from? Where did it come from? Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Okay. Yuck. All right. Yep. Well, I'm feeling more and more confident the more I look at this one. So that's what a confident me looks like. Oh, Kai is here. Hello there, Kai. That's all right. We'll let you off for being late. It's like I haven't actually started doing any work yet. I've just been talking this whole time. Reloaded board in Sprint. Oh, what are you reloading? 2SI. What a champion. I've actually got a dead 2SI here. So guess who's going to be getting a tap on the shoulder? So one of the things with the 2SI that I'm sure you're well aware of, Kai, when there's a problem with the Macintosh SE30, we're all familiar with the CMOS CMAC display you get. You either get vertical lines or you get that strange zebra sort of speckly zebra pattern, and that is obviously the default image coming out of the video RAM. If I'm getting this right, I may be getting it wrong. It's the default image coming out of the video RAM. So essentially what's happening is the computer doesn't have enough. The computer is unable to start up because there's something broken, but it still shows you the video coming from the VRAM without any proper signal being sent to it. That is, as I understand it. The 2SI has a very similar sort of thing, except its CMOS CMAC is just a white screen. So I've found with 2SIs that they do this sneaky thing where they trick you into thinking they're working. You get a 2SI, you power it up, you get a beautiful white screen, and then nothing. You don't get the ROM loading up to then get the rounded corners and the mouse happening. You just get that white screen and it just stays white indefinitely. And that is what I consider the 2SI CMOS CMAC, that sort of behavior. And I have come across a lot of 2SIs like that. And, you know, it's very hard to then figure out what the problem is because they all have exactly the same thing. The other thing I also wanted to mention is Kai mentioned this to me the other day that Bol has finished, I think he's just in the final phases of testing of the 2FX Reloaded board. And I have two candidates here. One is not mine, one is mine. And so what I will be tempted to do is just move all of the parts off this battery bombed board here, move them onto a reloaded board, and then have theoretically a functioning 2FX. That would be really nice because that is one of the computers I don't have in my collection. I have a power supply, I have a case, I have the board, but it doesn't work. TCI should do the same given that they both use the same MDU and RBV setup. There you go. I have a lot more success getting 2CIs working than 2SIs. Boop, 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 boop. 2FX Reloaded, I have a destroyed board. Yes, there you go. I also still have yours. I do. Yours is the working one. Yours is fine. I just got to send it back to you. Sorry about that. It's behind me here. It's behind you. All right, let's get some caps off this board. And of course, I've also got those 2FX RAM sims I haven't even bothered to assemble yet because I haven't had a 2FX to use them with. But if I do get a 2FX I can use them with, I will assemble them. What am I looking for? I'm looking for my aluminum tape. Oh, Bowl's planning a 950 Reloaded. The biggest board in the world. It's the power supplies with the 950s that are the headache, isn't it? Alright, so we're going to get a little bit of aluminium tape here that I'm going to use to heat shield all of the plastic bits, because there are lots of plastic bits around here. And so that I can then get all these caps off. I'm going to get all of these ones off kind of in one big hot air session because there's so many in the one region. It's like, what is it, 14 of them here? Something stupid like that. There we go. They've been replaceable with an ATX. Oh, okay, so is that all they... okay, so people aren't even bothering to repair them, they're just replacing them. Yep, fair enough. My 950, touch wood, the power supply is still good. The only thing I don't have for my 950 is the what do you call it? The key. The little key for the switching it off and on. I do plan to 3D print a replica, and that is almost finished. I've just got to do a little bit of refinement to make it so that it fits in the hole a bit better. At the moment it looks the piece, but it just doesn't fit in the hole. I don't actually have an original here to compare it against, so I'm sort of having to do it based on the hole in the computer. Now, oh man, this smells. You're probably noticing solder balls everywhere, and that's because all of these, what do you call them? All of these sort of pins or whatever, they've got a crusty coating on the outside of them, and that's making the solder inside melt, but not the solder outside because of the crusty coating. And as a result, the melted solder then gets pushed through. When you're doing a large batch like this, the board gets hot, and that then makes each subsequent cap a little bit easier to remove, because the board's already hot. Right, now, did I manage to do that without knocking any other components off? Because I have been known to do that. I think we're good. I think we're good. The funny thing about the 950 is, as much as I like the 950, really, don't get me wrong, it's a great computer. Oh, what a pain in the ass to keep them, to store them, because they're so huge. You know, and it's like, I don't have room to keep my computers set up. They have to be in storage. And it's like, if I say, oh, I want to play with my 950 today, I've got to clear a huge space. I'm actually working on some PowerMac G5s at the moment. Now that is some space required. I had someone contact me who said they had, well, supposedly 2 not working G5s, and they would like me to merge them together to make one working one. Now, as it turns out, I've been able to get both of them working. So I'm going to keep one and give one back. And the one I'm going to keep is a dual 2.3 gigahertz, and it is going to replace my dual 2 gigahertz, which currently sits under my desk. So 2.3 will be a little bit nicer than 2. The only downside is that my original dual 2 gigahertz can run 10.2 and 10.3, whereas my dual 2 can run 10.2, 10.3, 10.4, 10.5. that where it stops? 10.5? Yes, 10.5. So it'd actually run 4 operating systems, whereas the 2.3 will only run 10.4 and 10.5. No earlier. Right. Let's just check here. I'm going to have a look here, see if there's stuff, people talking to me or just talking to each other. Rolly poly fish heads. Strippable candidates. So in other words, a board that you're prepared to have destroyed ultimately. I've got some dead 2SI boards here too, by the way, Kai, if you ever need any help on that front. And I imagine you've got one that you've already stripped, but if for some reason yours has got some damage or something like that, please feel free to sing out, because, as I say, I do have a few dead 2SI boards here that I would quite happily strip if needed. Okay. Ryan Joffrey, what's up? Should I just take off the corroded components? I don't think they're salvageable. Well, look, it's very difficult to say. I mean, one of the things I would recommend with something like that is, first of all, take some photos of it, and then I'd say probably jump onto Tinker Different, start a little thread, post the photos and say, what do people recommend? Because it's the sort of stuff you kind of need to see, where you can look at it and go, yeah, that's toast, or you can look at it and say, that's salvageable, or you might look at it and say, that's a proprietary part that you're going to need to hang on to, so that'll need to be repaired, or, oh, these are still readily available today, that sort of stuff. So you kind of do need to look at that stuff to find the best course of action. That's what I'll generally say to people. I need to see a damaged board before I even know whether it's going to be worth working on. Take a little bit of practice, Ryan. That's all you need to do is just practice and get a microscope. That's a really important part. Steve, hello. Well, I've taken all the caps off, but that's all I've done so far. So just doing a quick little recap for Steve and for anyone else who has only joined recently. This is an LC2. It's very, very dirty. It's got lots of gunge on it, but it looks like most of the traces are fairly intact. So I think we've got a fairly good chance of getting this one sorted. So that's what we're going to do. Now I'm going to use my V2 flux for the cleaning, because it's not my favourite flux to use. There's nothing wrong with it, it just doesn't suit me. As I've said many times before, when it comes to flux, you go with what you like. So this is, as I say, it's my V2 flux, and it's perfectly good for cleaning and stuff like that. It's a good quality flux, but it's just not the flux that I want to use. If I was going to do a bit of trace repair, this is not the flux I would be using. RC servo, goodness me. No, sorry, no experience whatsoever. Imagine for a second that I've got 0 experience on RC servos. Congratulations to Steve for having such good video performance on his latest video. He posted a video of, fumes. No, he didn't post a video of fumes. He posted a video of the clone. What was it? What was it? Panasonic? No. What's the brand? Clone. Pioneer? So basically a clone Mac with a PowerMac 6100 board in it and amazing speakers. And he posted a video on that, and it did incredibly well. Lots and lots and lots of people watched it. He gets numbers that I can only dream of. Even though I have, I don't know, what is it, twice the number of subscribers, something like that. Steve gets the most incredible performance from the videos he releases, and it's because he has enthusiasts watching his stuff. Now, I do have enthusiasts watching his stuff, but I also have a lot of people that have subscribed to me through my learn to solder videos, my soldering guides, or my reviews. And those sorts of videos, they get good numbers, but they do it over a long period of time. I very rarely get that straight out of the gates performance where, you know, it's like you get all thousands of views in a single day. I very, very rarely get that. So, but But that one has just gone gangbusters. It's really, and it is excellent to see. I personally think it was a setup. I think Steve, this was all very calculated. What he did is he released, what was it, 3 videos on a compact? I think it was 3 videos on a compact. And like all of the Mac people started going, oh, this bloody compact again. And then when he released something on a Mac, everyone went rushing for it because they're like, we've been just drowned in compacts lately. Oh, I forgot about that. Let's do the thing. Let's do the thing. Thank you for reminding me, Scarlet Swordfish.
Smash that like button.
Yeah, smash. Thank you very much, Ryan, for the super chat. For my dead dad, Chris, and my favourite man from Oz. Okay. From your dead dad, Chris. For my dead dad, Chris. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that your dad is dead. It's a bad thing when one loses a parent. Rightio, let's get this all cleaned up. These are the sorts of things that I say over and over and over again in my live streams. But basically what I have to do is I have to get these pads so that they look like this. Shiny, square, well, rectangular. Shiny and rectangular, and all ready for some new solder to go onto them. You can see the way this flux gradually goes brown. That is mainly from the gunk. It's not actually the flux that's doing it. Magnificent mechanic and engineer. Ah, dear. He would have liked me. Well, that's nice to know. Yes, unfortunately, my father is not with us anymore. He died of lung cancer some years ago. What was it, 2012? I think I want to say. I think it was 2012. That was a wild old year, 2012, I tell you. A lot of deaths. And a birth and a marriage. I think it was 2012. I get in trouble if I don't know these things. But I'm terrible with dates. That's what you get married for, so you can, they can just become your partner's responsibility. You say, what year was that? And they know. So I'm imagining, is there a Macintosh Logic board that will fit in the case in place of the 2SI original board? I have 2 2SI cases, very good shape, but one of them is permanently stained. Well, the short answer to that is the 2SI is the only board that is shaped like a 2SI. There has been no other board before or after it. Things like the 2VI, the 2VX, 2CI, 2CX, they're all about the same size, and Quarter 700. They're all about the same size. The 2SI is smaller, and I don't think anyone has been that size again. But what you could probably do is you could stick an LC board in it. So you could maybe stick a LC 475 or Quadra 605. So that would take you up to a 68040, because that board is smaller, but I'm sure it would fit in a 2SI case. We can test that theory. But you would have a problem with the holes lining up at the back, because they are quite different. I'm actually just looking at one now. I've got a 605 board and I've got a 2SI case right here. So we'll definitely fit inside there, but you have to do a fair bit of finagling, and you definitely have to cut some holes in the back for the sockets, because they're the slots, they're in a different spot. That's the truth. Brother passed like me, I'm struggling to get over that. Yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that. One thing that happened to me, and it's probably 2 or 3 years ago now, which just completely knocked me for 6, was my best friend died. And very, very unexpected. And also, I don't, it's, it really gets you, because you sort of, you just imagine that person's just going to be there. You imagine that person's going to be there for a large portion of your life. And we had made plans to actually do stuff. We were gonna go on a cruise. We were, we used to go on these, sort of these yearly trips and stuff like that. And he was only 46, and it it was really, really kind of, it was so unexpected, and it's something that still has a massive impact on me today, because we used to share so many things in terms of interests, not necessarily computer interests, but music interests and movies and stuff like that. There are so many times these days where I see something and I go, oh man, I'd love to show this to him, and he's not around anymore. And it's just, it's out there. Just, never sort of had to deal with anything like that before. And, you just don't expect that sort of thing from someone of that age. Okie dokie. So, and for those who sometimes ask me this question, I'll answer it preemptively. I'm making spaghetti bolognese for dinner tonight. And mine is the best in the world. And there's no way I can prove that. Okay. Jacket potato and salad? What? Where's your protein? You need protein. Where's your protein? I have an ultrasonic cleaner question. Looking up. Oh, how far do I have to go? Oh, just got an ultrasonic. Okay, that guy, Chad. Hello, that guy, Chad. G'day, Bruce. I just got an ultrasonic cleaner before I had watched your DIY series, and I'm wondering if you have any DIY PCB cleaning solution recommendations. So, this is actually like an interesting question, because I have even ended up getting in arguments with people about this. Don't know why this person wanted to argue about it, but that's fine. You can really just use anything as long as it is not something that's going to be like overly corrosive, So, for example, if you look at something like a dishwashing detergent, that stuff's really quite harsh, and I wouldn't use something like that. But you can theoretically get away with, sort of just any form of soap or detergent, anything that does a normal detergent-y type job. But then you have to make sure that after it's ultrasonically cleaned, that you rinse it off completely with either distilled water or isopropyl alcohol to get any of that detergent off, so there's no residue left behind. Now, what I use a product that's only available here in Australia. It's made by a company called Clean Tech. They're in Queensland. I point upwards because Queensland is north from where I am. They make this product called Electro, which is specifically designed for cleaning PCBs. And what is specific about it? It is specifically designed to break down flux, and it is specifically designed to make sure that it doesn't do any damage to sort of copper or any of the circuitry and stuff like that. Now, can I say for certain that it is better than using just an off-the-shelf detergent of some description? No, I can't. I use it, I guess, probably more than anything, if I'm working on boards that don't belong to me. I have to take precautions to make sure that I am, guaranteeing the longevity of those computers. Now, what I know that some people do use in America is what's it called? Branson EC. I can't get that here in Australia. But I think I think that at the end of the day, you can use pretty much any sort of detergent you like. Just make sure that you get it well and truly rinsed off after the thing's clean. So that could be dish soap. It could be just normal soap, I suppose. Any sort of soap that comes in some sort of liquidy form. So. Don't put it in the dishwasher. I mean, you can put it in the dishwasher, but you've got to wash it afterwards. Right, let's go and have a look here. I hope that at least kind of answers. I don't know. Was cooking with leftovers. Was nothing left in the cupboard or fridge till Sainsbury's order turned up. Okay. always keep a can of Spam in the fridge. That's what in the cupboard. That's what I do. If you get stuck and you realise you've got no protein in the house, whip out the Spam. Love it. Spam gets a bad name. The stuff's bloody beautiful. Get rid of some Mac stuff before my wife has to get a huge bin and dump it all. Well, remember, you know what I want, Nick, don't you? You've got an idea of the bits and pieces that I want. 2FX is the thing that I'm still looking for. Oh, and of course, yes, I always keep bacon in the freezer as well, because you can always do stuff with bacon. And of course, eggs is never an issue with me because I have chickens, so there's always eggs. I've got to go collect the eggs. Actually, I haven't done that in a while. But yeah, I mean, see, for instance, if you wanted to make a carbonara, you can make a carbonara just with eggs and you know, some Parmesan cheese and some bacon. So if I'm making, you know, I can make, like if I've got nothing there, I'm just cooking for the pantry. It's like, hey, you want a carbonara? Carbonara. I do add cream, even though you're technically not supposed to, but I keep some long life cream in the cupboard, so, you know, I've always got cream there. There was one stuff that I tried, just jumping back to the ultrasonic cleaning again. There was a liquid that I tried that was recommended to me by Paul Daniels. So people will probably know Paul Daniels from his repair stuff. And not recommending. I asked what he used, and he said, I use this stuff, and it's God, what's it called? Can't remember what it's called. It'll come to me, but anyhow, it was awful. It was really, really harsh on the boards, and I would put things in that had like nice shiny solder, and it would come out, and the solder would be grey, and I was like, not using that ever again. I basically just. That was the first and only time I used it. Well, that's not true. I used it a couple of times. I tried diluting it a bit, but it just made the solder, even diluted, it still made the solder grey. Well, diluting it more, it's already a diluted liquid. Phew, this stinks. Paul Daniels, I think, magician from the 70s and 80s. If Jay was here, I'd do the hello, Hasselhoff. I just did it anyway, even though Jay's not here. Jay likes jumping onto Paul Daniels' channel and then saying hello in the chat, and then he gets a hello, House of Moth, in a Paul Daniels Australian accent, where it's sort of more like House of Moth. Lots of pads to clean here. I should have been doing this ages ago and chatting while I was doing it. So when I'm doing this stuff, I'm basically just, I've got flux and I've got heat and I've got fresh solder, and I'm just rubbing backwards and forwards until all the black stuff goes away, and until these pads look like they're holding solder for the full size of the pad rather than just little clumps inside it. And then I do the last of the cleaning with the solder wick. I just give them a bit of a rub-a-dub-dub with a solder wick like this. And they come up looking a peach. Look at that. It's like it's brand new. We're going to have some UV mask on here because I have exposed some of these traces, and we do not want to accidentally cause, excuse me, any short circuits. Nice trace by C18. What? C18. C18. This one here, I'm actually just exposing it. I think it will be fine. It's a little bit scungy. Yeah. He's come good. I mean, considering how bad this board is, the traces don't actually look too bad. We always have great frozen stuff. I buy in bulk and break it up for freezer bags. Yeah, look, it's a good way to do it. You know, you get stuff in bulk and store it. I mean, I've got a great big freezer in one of my sheds. You know, big It's like the size of I guess probably a small fridge, but it's actually a freezer. And it just gives you that flexibility of if you see something going cheap, you can say, oh, I'm going to buy a bunch of that, and then just let it sit in there. And you're all set. Freezing is a great way to go. I always generally keep, probably the two things that I keep in the freezer so that I've always got are, well, A, good quality sausages. Good quality as I mean bought from a butcher. Good, really good sausages. Because you can do heaps of sausages. You can just cook sausages, or you can make a curried sausages, or you can make pasta with sausages. And, you know, there's lots you can do with sausages. And then I keep mince, beef mince and pork mince. I do a lot of mainly probably Chinese, some Thai, some Vietnamese, some Malaysian cooking. And pork mince is really good for a lot of that sort of stuff. So I always keep pork mince and I keep beef mince in the fridge. Always keep chicken thighs. Always keep chicken thighs, because chicken thighs, very, very versatile. Again, you can use it for stir fries, you can use it for schnitzel, you can use it for curries, you can, you know, you name it. So, for instance, last night, you know, I sort of said to the wife, you know, what would you like for dinner tonight? And I said, oh, I've got some chicken thighs in the freezer. Shall we do schnitzel? That's what Americans call it breaded chicken. So you hammer out the chicken and then you put flour on it, then you put egg wash, and then you put breadcrumbs. I use panko crumbs, and then shallow fry it. Now we call that chicken schnitzel or schnitty, but I'm pretty sure Americans call that breaded chicken. And you know, that's just one where it's a, you know, really nice sort of dish. I did a creamy mushroom sauce with it. Absolutely beautiful. And it's something that costs, you know, it's so cheap to make. Chicken teriyaki. Yum. It's become a cooking show now. Mm-hmm. Careful with that 0120. Which one? This one? What? 0120? What? Or are you talking to someone else? You're probably talking to someone else. Well, let's talk about food is making me hungry, yes. Chicken's going to get in there. Yeah, I've never eaten any of my own chickens. I eat obviously their eggs, but I've never eaten any of my own chickens. But I eat a lot of chicken, that's for sure. Chicken is probably my most eaten protein. I mean, apart from the fact that it's incredibly cheap, I love it. I just love chicken. You know, I mean, like for instance, I did this meal recently. I basically did a chicken laksa. So I'm sure people out there know what a chicken laksa is, and you know, it's kind of like a soup sort of thing with chicken and lots of yumminess and stuff. And I just use chicken legs. I use just chicken drumsticks. Then I poach them for a really long time in some stock. For probably about half an hour, 45 minutes, until the meat's just falling off the bone. Then I just pull that meat off, and then that's what goes into the laksa. And then the stock that you cook the chicken in, that becomes the base for the soup with the laksa paste mixed in. And it is just so tasty and cheap. I mean, you know, chicken drumsticks are just so cheap. All that yumminess for cheap. Ugh. My protein is chickpeas, but then again, I'm special on glaze and quadribord. Yep. Is a liquid damaged iBook G4 worth trying to fix, or should I just get a new motherboard? Are you talking about the white iBook G4? Are they the ones that had the smelly keyboards? You know what? I don't know, because I have a few of those. But I don't know how rare or collectible they are. It's just not something I've looked into at all. Getting a bit blowy here. £5 here for 2 kilograms of thigh or legs. See, that's not bad, is it? I mean, I assume so. I've got no idea how much anything else costs there, but I figure £5 for 2 kilos. Get a few meals out of that. At least a couple. Maybe not as many, because I don't know if anyone is aware of this, but Kaya is a very large man. He's a big Viking. So I'm guessing that a man that tall probably needs to eat a lot of food. Ah, hello there, Jay. So look, Dana was the only one on time today. Steve was late. You're late. It's terrible. It's terrible. Okay, so we're working on an LC2 today, which I know is one of your favourite beige Macs. It's the one that I left till last because it has 17 capacitors that need to be replaced. The one good thing is most of them are in close proximity, so it's pretty easy from that respect. Eat less than you might think. Yes, I was thinking mainly about height. I'm not thinking about breadth. I mean, I know my cousin who is quite tall, he eats a hell of a lot more food than I do. Alright, so let's have a look at the recapping guide. I need a recapping guide for this because I'll never remember this off the top of my brain. Let's go to Recap a Mac. There's a website called recapamac.com.au and it has... Oh, it's still up. Good. I am just joking. Of course it's still up. It has LC2. It has lots of boards here. LC2, also known as the Performer 400. Oh, this one needs updating badly. This is one of my old recapping guides with all the ugliness. Ugh. Ugh. Okay, so we need 1 microfarad 50 volt. Let's put that one on first. I usually start with the fewest and then move to the mostest. 1 microfarad 50 volt, and that's up in the corner there. 1 microfarad 50 volt. That's this one here. Right there. Right there. That's where he goes. But not that way around because the polarity is wrong there. Testing the limits of the unlimited buffet. Yes. Well, I can tell you, as someone who is married to someone of Pacific Island origin, when we go out to big family things, there are some very big people in that family. And I'm not meaning like they're overweight or something like that. They are just tall, solid units. And when they as a group walk into one of those all-you-can-eat places, everyone goes, okay. Because I'll tell you what, some of those guys, the size they are, there's a lot of food required. Okay, first cap goes down. Now I was, early on I was giving this about an 85% chance of it working. After doing that work, the removal of the caps, I'm giving this now probably a more, closer to probably 90% chance that this is going to just work. It may need ultrasonic cleaning first, but I do think this is going to fire up. So I'm feeling good about that. Still hold an island record. Well. Now, 1 kilogram of Scottish ribeye, medium rare. Geez, that would have been expensive. That's an expensive cut of meat. You got to come out. Don't they have those eating competitions in America? And I know they have them in Australia. Here, do you have them over there? Because, I mean, where you go into these places and if you eat a certain thing in a certain amount of time, you get it for free. Where was I? I was at a restaurant the other night which is like a German restaurant, and they sell they do I think it's a 1.5 kilogram schnitzel, and if you can eat it in 45 minutes, you get it for free, and then you get a T-shirt. Oh dear. So okay, we've got to go back to the recapping guide. I'm losing my thread here. Okay, we now want 100 microfarad, 6.3 volt, and that lives right behind the little headphone connectory things. Right. Hoya. That's a 100 microfarad, 6.3 volts. Let's get some more flux on here. Pine scent. I'm going to have to break out the conical for this to get round the back of this. So I expect comments to be made by Jay in the chat about me grabbing a conical tip. Do-do-do, should be in the center. It'll look much better in the center. Ricky Baker. Okay. Yes, Bruce does occasionally use a conical tip, but there is a caveat. I use one with a curve. If I can find the frickin' thing. What have I done? Have I lost it? It's always possible. Oh, there it is. It's just staring at me. I rewrote about 50% of the Blue Scuzzy wiki content and added kit assembly instructions. Oh, well done. I actually made I put an addition to the GitHub instructions because nowhere in there did it mention that the Raspberry Pi Pico Wi-Fi module only does 2.4 gigahertz networks, and I felt like that was information that should be in there so that people know if they're getting the Wi-Fi version, don't expect to connect to your 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi network. Okay, so this is the conical tip I use. You can see it's got a little bit of a curve on the end. It allows me to just slot this down into this gap there and get some solder right where I want it. Really is no other option for one like this. And there we go. Beautiful. I may have to use this again because so many of these are all crammed together. Crammed. Is this the one I was using before? Or is this the one I was using before? Is that still warm? Nope. This is my good one. I always keep a spare one of these. That's a fresh one. In case I break one. Because I do break them. And they do wear out. And that's not hot. Where's the one I was using before? Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Ow! Ow! That's the one. Found it. It's still hot. We haven't said hello to Davros today. Say hello to Davros. Hello. I am not a fan of American football. I have got no idea how it works. Anytime I've ever watched it, I see everyone standing around and no one actually playing the game, so I really don't know what's going on. I will... Yeah, okay. Did I say I swear? Did I swear? Did I swear? Shit. That's a mistake. That shouldn't happen. Okay, so now we're going back to the recapping guide. And I need 547 microfarads, 16 volts. So let's get those now. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these will fill all of the remaining large pads. So we've got 3 down here in the corner of the board, and then we've got, let's have a look. 1, 2, 3. Where are they? 1, 2. Where's the 4th one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay. We one of the main sports, kind of like football-y type sports that we have out here, is called rugby league, and there's rugby union. We do have that as well, but rugby league is more popular. We actually have a local competition for that, so we have teams from around the country, mainly from the East Coast. So lots of teams in Sydney. There's a Melbourne team. There's a Queensland team. There's a New Zealand team. And so we basically have this, it's a winter competition, so it's not happening at the moment, but we have this competition, and it's rugby league, and that's the main sport we play here. And as anyone who has ever watched rugby league will tell you, one of the things that we kind of find amazing with American football is how much padding they wear, because they don't wear any padding in rugby league, and it's a full contact sport. Now, one could say that's stupid, but nonetheless, that's the thing that always catches my attention when I watch American football, is just how much padding everyone has on. Okie dokie, we're going to stick this one here. This is a 47 onto the spot there. Come on, off you get. Thank you. I need to make sure I'm paying attention to whether there are any exposed traces around here, because I feel like I haven't really been paying close attention to that, and I should. Yes, it's hard to believe it nowadays, but I used to actually play rugby league when I was in high school, because I was a big fella in high school, because I went through my growth spurt before just about everyone else. So I would play on the rugby league team, and I was very hard to stop. Nowadays I'm a little short ass, but back then I was the big guy. I'm not actually short, I'm average height. Mind you, they keep moving the bars. I think average is a little bit taller than me now. It used to be average height. I didn't even look under this one. Yeah, that's fine. See? Gotta pay attention. It's on. The fume extractor is on. I turned it on even without being told by Jay. Maybe need to get the thing a little bit closer there. Jay is my occupational safe and healthy advisor. He notices when the smoke's going straight up. He's like, hey, you're doing it wrong. Looking after my welfare. Good old Jay. I played out football in high school, and I still have no idea how it works. As I said before, the thing that I find so confusing with that game is how many times it stops. it stops and then they swap players out and stuff like that. And I'm sort of like, well, can you just play, please? Because this time of year, it's cricket time, and I'm really annoyed with myself. There was a game on yesterday, and I missed it. Love watching cricket, especially the short form of the game. Anyone who knows nothing about cricket will know they have no idea what I mean when I say short form of the game. But there are two different types of cricket. And there is the long form of the game, and there is the short form of the game. And the long form of the game, you play based on a certain amount of time going by. The short form of the game, you play based on a limited number of balls getting bowled. So, there you go. They refer to it as limited overs cricket. Now, the thing I like about cricket is the game goes for a really long time. So if I'm working or tinkering or doing something like that, you just have it going in the background. Not terribly distracting. It's not distracting to the point where you're losing concentration on what you're doing, so you can keep doing your things, whatever your things are that you're doing. And then every now and again you just hear, say, oh, look at that one. Oh, look at that. He's hit it for 6. Let's go check that out. .20 is probably the most enjoyable version of the game. So in terms of the limited overs, there are two. There's what they call one-dayers, and they are limited to 50 overs each side. And then the other one now is the newer sort, which is the type of cricket that's going to basically take over, I think, almost entirely. I think other versions of the game will probably go because it's much shorter and much more exciting. That's the 2020. That's where you have 20 overs each side. And an over consists of 6 balls being bowled. So it's 20 overs of 6 balls being bowled for each side. Christianity in cricket. Tried to teach me cricket, it didn't take. Yes, now admittedly, and I'll give Jay credit for this one, but when I said, look, I watch a lot of cricket, and Jay knew nothing about cricket, he said, okay, well, I want to watch it, I want to see, I want to know what it's about. And I spent a bit of time teaching him the rules and everything like that. But the cricket that he watched was the long form of the game, and so that's actually a test match, which takes place over 5 days. So we are talking about a game that moves at a fairly glacial pace for a lot of the time. If you're playing one single game over 5 days, you know that this is not something that's going to send your heart racing most of the time. And that was a form of cricket that Jay got introduced to. And I applaud him for that, because at the end of the day, that is the purest form of cricket. That's the traditional version of the game. But it's also probably the most boring and probably not the best form of the game to introduce people to the sport. You're probably better off introducing them to one-day cricket or 2020 cricket, because it's a lot more exciting. The batsmen are always going for great big high shots, and the pace is really fast and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah. We talked about it at the time. I actually said to you, I said, this is the 5-day game. You'll probably find the 1-day game or the 2020 a lot more interesting. And you said, no, I'm not interested in trying anything else. Occasionally I watch the Ashes to see who's kicking whose butt, yeah. I stand at 1.87 metres tall. I've got no idea what I stand in metres. I'm just not. Even though I am completely and totally metricated, I was just raised with feet and inches for height. And I use millimetres and centimetres and metres for everything I measure, except height. I'm 6'10", I think. A game England gave to the world, and sucked the most at compared to the colonies that took it off us. Yeah, poor old England hasn't really. I mean, they still have their successes. Don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of countries that are better than England at cricket these days. But that's all right. We still enjoy playing. Okay, now we need 10 microfarads, 16 volts. So I need 10 of these little suckers. Yep. Wrong size. How many did I get then? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. God, I got 9. Well done. I actually got 10, but one of them was the wrong size. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yay! Now, I used to actually use a slightly larger capacitor size for these, but I found that it's much quicker to use these small ones. So that is what I use now. Just quicker to do the recapping job. And we like quick. I have to admit, I've never really had an issue with my height. I've never actually been like, oh, I wish I was taller, or I wish I was shorter, or something like that. Just, you know, I'm not the sort of height where people, you know, poke fun at me, or I'm not the sort of height that stands out. I'm just an average dude. Just walking down the street being an average dude. But the thing was that I was the height that I am now at about, I guess I was 12 going on 13, something like that. I just grew really early, really fast. And then stopped. Boop, ba boop, boop. Dirty Rotten Mac, hello there. Time was 11 or 6 foot. There you go. That's a standout. I used to work with this woman, a designer, and she was 6'5", I think, 6'4" or 6'5". She used to actually lie about her height. She said like, oh yeah, I'm 6'3", and then one day we actually measured her, and we're like, you're bloody 6'5". Stop lying to people. I remember one day when we left work and we were both going to the same train station to head home, and walking through the train station next to her, and my God, she get a lot of looks. And an occasional, just out of the blue, because it's Australians, this is what Australians do. Look at the size of this bitch. Yeah, I've never ever seen. I mean, like we've all seen like Game of Thrones. You know, Gwendolyn Christie, who played the part of the tall warrior woman in Game of Thrones. I mean, this woman was taller than Gwendolyn Christie. Better looking too. The one thing she used to get frustrated with, though, is every single person that would ever talk to her, the very first question they would ask her was, do you play basketball? I haven't done some of the normal stuff I do in my my recapping vids, where I kind of narrate some of the things, like, for example, the codes on the chips here, the say 106, which basically means 10 followed by 6 zeros, which would be, what would that be? 10 million? Is that right? 10 million picofarads. So it'll give you the number in picofarads. They don't always use this system, but these ones do. What's the weather like up here, as in here? At here, it is cloudy. I mean, it's really not too bad. There's actually some big bits of sun coming out. There was showers this morning. It was actually raining when I woke up, and was like, I'm not going to get any washing done today. I'm going to have to put it all in the dryer. What a pain. And then, yeah, it's actually not a bad day now. It's a lovely temperature, 24 degrees by my little Apple Watch here, where I am. It's nice. Especially considering the last time I did a live stream, it was like 37 degrees or some crap. That was nasty. Oh, I see. I'm not tall enough to get the question, as in, what's the weather like up there, as in, you're tall? Yeah, that's the other question that everyone asks, isn't it? Those poor people, those poor tall people constantly getting that question. What's the weather like up there? It's like, oh, wow. You should take that comedy onto the road. Now, what do you reckon? Do you think I should stick some UV mask on that exposed trace? Should I? I'll decide. I'll do all the other ones and I'll leave that one till last, and then I'll decide whether I have energy to do that. Warmer in Melbourne, 25. Yeah, well, Melbourne's had some heat lately. I've been seeing in the weather forecast that there were some very stinky hot days there in Melbourne. My sister lives in Melbourne, so she was telling me it's a lot drier down there, though. I know when I was talking to my sister about the weather they've been getting, far out, stay still, that it was a dry heat, whereas up here it is just crazy humid. It's quite unpleasant. Even on the days when it's sort of not that hot, it feels hotter than it is because it's so humid. Phew. I'm waiting the summertime. I want to break out the barbecue. Yes, I love summer. My wife hates it because it gets so hot here. And there's a limit to what you can do. Like, for instance, we went on a little excursion lately. We went to go do a little bit of sightseeing, just locally, not too far away, just a town called Windsor, which is only about 45 minutes northwest of where I am. But it's a lovely old town. It's got a lot of history and stuff. And so we were wandering around there, and it's like, oh yeah, this is really enjoyable. And then it's just like exhausted because it's just so hot. And so sort of our sightseeing got kind of cut short because we were just desperate to get into some air conditioning. Solder balls. Solder balls. What sort of food, Jeremy? Generally with any sort of food item that you sell, that you send, as long as it is a packaged good, a sealed packaged good, they're usually fine getting through customs at the other side. But if you just, I don't know, stick a bunch of fish heads in a Ziploc bag, you're probably not going to be able to get it through. Barbecue sauce factory sealed. I can't imagine you'd have any problem with that at all. There's actually a shop here in Sydney where they sell barbecue sauces and hot sauces from all over the world. So if you are wanting to try some of those different sauces from different parts of the world, you can get them there. You have to pay a bit for them, but it's the same as like if you want to buy Tim Tams overseas. Australian Tim Tams, you know, you're going to pay a premium for them to be in a store over there. All right. What did we decide? Am I going to stick some UV mask on that, or am I just happy with it the way it is? Let's have a look at this component. We'll flip him over. And we'll look and see what the risk factor is. I think the risk factor of getting any solder onto that little trace in there is negligible. So I am not going to worry with the UV mask. I'm just going to be happy with the fact that it is tinned, which will protect it from the elements, stop it from corrosioning. I just made that word up. Good, isn't it? And then we can fire this sucker up and see if it works. There's one thing that I really dislike about the original LC over the LC2 and the LC3. It's a very minor thing, but just from someone who does recapping and testing and stuff is an inconvenience. And that is the way it has the speaker is connected via little pads rather than connected via a plug, a jumper. I much prefer to be able to just plug a speaker in. Now let's just check the polarity of these here. Looking good, looking good, looking good. Looking good, looking good, looking good, looking good, looking good, looking good, looking good. Looking good. Looking good. Alright. So I think we're going to give this a bit of a test. I'm probably just going to give it a bit of a white first. Are those electrolytics being replaced with tantalum? That is correct. They are indeed. I do all of the replacement of the electrolytics with tantalums. They're just kind of more reliable, and the proof of that is in the pudding when you pull out a lot of these old boards, and they've got both tantalum and electrolytics on them, and the tantalums are still going strong. The electrolytics have leaked and spewed all their gunk on the board. A classic example of that is the Quadra 700. Quadra 700 was made with tantalums instead of electrolytics. So anywhere on the board, like where you would normally see an electrolytic on the board, it's actually a tantalum on the Quadra 700. And the Quadra 700 at this time in history, it may change in the future, is a maintenance-free logic board. As long as it's clean, as long as the battery hasn't spewed, they'll work perfectly. Power supplies might need some help, but the logic boards are generally peachy. So yeah, I replaced them with tantalums. There are some people that argue that tantalums are bad because if they fail short. There are two things I would say to that. The first is that electrolytics can fail to short too. I've had that happen. And the other thing is that they are so reliable that sort of risk of the failure when they fail short is a relatively minor one. The other thing is, of course, if they do fail, they usually fail quite spectacularly, like they fizz and burn and crack or whatever. There is a video of me somewhere circulating where an very old tantalum capacitor blew up, There was a spot on the board where it probably should have had a higher rated capacitor on it, and whenever I get hold of one of those computers, I do replace it with a higher rated capacitor. But it blew up, and I said a few expletives. Now, admittedly, I was doing a live stream at the time, but I was doing one of my private live streams that I do from time to time. I haven't done one in a while, where I kind of can't be bothered to do it all properly and flash and stuff. And so I just fire it up and I just send out invites to people through just social media and stuff like that and say, there's a spider on my thingy. I just sort of say, I'm about to do a live stream. It's going to be swearing. It's going to be lack of care, all that sort of stuff. And I did one of those live streams and I was working on a 2FX. The capacitor blew up, threw sparks in my face and everything, and I swore a lot. How to get rid of the rust on those connectors? Harsh words. There are things you can do. I mean, probably the best way to do it would be to try and sand the worst of it off, then probably try and neutralize it, and then maybe coat it with something. But I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty ugly, isn't it? All right, so let's see if this is going to work. We're going to get into our full testing phase. That's me in a testing phase. So here is our power supply. This is a power supply that is known good. So we can eliminate the possibility that the power supply is a fault. And we'll plug that in. Get a speaker. We'll plug that in. We will get some VRAM. Oh, that's RAM. That's VRAM and RAM. We'll pop that in there. Black Benny, RAM-a-lamb. Now, I probably should test this without any RAM first, but because there is 2 on board. But, you know, throw caution to the wind, as they say. All right, so we've got a speaker here to test for a chime. We have got our working power supply. We've got RAM in here, and now it is time to test. How do people feel about it? What are people thinking? I want honest opinions in here. What do people give? Chances people give it this is going to just work first go. Keeping in mind, of course, it hasn't been properly cleaned. You can go up on the voltage, but the capacitance must match. That is very, very true. Who are we talking to here? LC question. I have an LC board that had the big 2200 16-volt cap. I've seen those. They were the very early ones that came out. I don't know why. I don't have that cap. Can I just replace it with 47 16 volts? No, definitely not. Definitely not. Now, God, do I have an LC board here? I probably don't. I've probably only got an LC2 and LC3. Yeah, so basically it is what has been said there is that 67.3 chance of working. Don't like the sound of that, Colin. That's I gave myself like 90 before. 85, then I moved it up to 90. It's going to be a fail because you didn't cover that trace. Nonsense. I knew you'd pull me up on that one. Okay, so are we ready? Jeremy's saying 50%. No smoke, but no chime. Okay, 80% chance of chime. 100%. Oh, 100% from Nick. Thank you very much. All right, let's give it a whirl, shall we? I have delayed enough. Okay. Ready? 3, 2. I'll get close to the speaker. 3, 2, 1. Dead as a doornail. Absolutely. Oh, wait a minute. Power's not in properly. Okay, now I heard a pop that time. I actually heard a pop, so that tells us a fair bit. There's my fat head. I got a crackle. I'm actually pretty confident this is going to work because these LC2s sometimes do weird things with the sound if they're not in the case. It's a grounding issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this up here. I'm going to get some video. Now, unfortunately, I haven't been able to get my little video capture thing to work properly, so we're going to have to stick with this screen. I did try briefly this morning, but I didn't try hard enough. So we're just going to use this screen and see if we get any video, because these guys do sometimes. Oh, and I might need a battery as well. So I'll pop that in there. Because some of these LCs get funny when they don't have a battery in them. Alright, so let's connect up some video. We've got a blue SCSI here. The blue SCSI will be able to tell us if we're getting termination power, which is almost definite. And then, of course, it might even then boot. So this, I'll just make sure I'm on the right source. VGA, that's good. Okay, so let's see what happens when we fire it up. 3, 2, oh, hang on. Oh, no, we should be right. 3, 2, 1. Ah, got a green. I got a chime. %. Okay, and I heard it make a noise. Yep, okay, that's it. Those lines are perfectly normal. That's just a moire effect from this display, which I can actually fix. Auto config. Okay, and it'll go zip, 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 and there we go. And we have got a smiley face. How about that? Is everyone feeling good? I'm feeling good. And we are booting into system 7.1, by the way. You can see the little flickery light down here up the top there. And so, yeah, well, okay. My percentage of success was warranted now. I don't feel like an overconfident idiot. We have got this one booting up and chiming. As I said before, these do have a bit of a funny thing going on with this with the sound when they're not in the case, and I suspect that connecting it up to the screen has maybe done some sort of grounding magic. I don't know, but anyhow, it just worked. I think we would have got video before, we just not the sound. So far of the 4 Macs that I've brought back from the barn, I have got 3 working, even though technically one of them I've actually put in a different logic board. But yeah, so I consider that pretty good. I mean, I could keep going and trying to fix the other one, but I just don't see much point. All right, so that there is a happy... Oh, we wanted to check the RAM. Now, I'm about to do something here that you absolutely should never do, and that is plug in an ADB while the computer is on. Okay, don't do that. So don't do this. What I'm about to do, don't do it. Don't look at this and say, Bruce did it, it's fine. Don't do it, it's bad. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to go up and have a look here. First thing we'll do is we'll go to About This Macintosh and we'll see what the RAM situation is. And it is 10, so they were 2 4 megabyte sims, so that's fantastic. So this is maxed out to as much as it can. So as I said before at the beginning, 2 megabytes on board, 2 times 4 gives us the 8 plus the 2, so we've got 10 megabytes of RAM. So that's as much RAM as you can put into this little guy. So I'm feeling pretty good about that this computer came loaded with 8 megs of RAM and with 512 VRAM. So that's really, really good. And then we're just going to go here to monitors. I didn't even need to repair any traces on this one. Colors, 256. Now, even with the 512 in there, we still only get 256 colors at this resolution, and this resolution being 640 by 480. If I was to run this on Apple's little 12-inch screen, which is 512 by 384, is what I want to say, but it may not be right. Where's Steve? Steve has the magic numbers. I think it's 512 by 384, something like that. You can then get thousands of colors on that smaller display, but 640 by 480, the most you'll get is 256 colors. So let's shut this down now, because there's one more little thing I want to do to this computer. Let's get a catch up on the chat. I've been all too chatty and excited about this thing working. Stress test the board. No. Are there any other barns full of rusty Macs in the area? Probably heaps. I didn't come back with everything. If you had a chance to see the trailer I did of this video, you'll see that there was a lot of really badly damaged stuff. I didn't bother with any of that. I chose these ones because I felt they had the best chance of me getting them working again. Yeah, it's hot plugging an ADB device is really only a problem if you do it wrong and pins get shorted, which I have only done once in my entire history of working with Macs, and I think it ended up just blowing a fuse that had to be replaced, something like that. 512 by 384, yay! I got it right. That's what I said. I think that's what I said. Right, okay. How often does RAM go bad? Probably more often than you think. I've had quite a few Macs come in where I've had to replace RAM. Thankfully, it's one of the easier things to diagnose because Macs do a RAM test. So when they start up, if you get the sad Mac chime, for instance, if I had this computer here, LC2, in the condition this is in, and I got a sad Mac chime, I would be suspecting some of the onboard RAM. And I've had that happen before, and that's why I keep donors of these, that I can just pluck the chips off these and move them across. And I basically just work my way down. I mean, I could probably figure out which one was wrong, maybe with an oscilloscope and a big brain like Kai's, but I don't have a big brain like Kai's, so I just I'm systematic. I just work my way down until it starts working, and then you go, yep, all good. And of course, if we talk about really old computers, like things like the Apple IIc, I think possibly even the 2E as well, the Macintosh 128K, those RAM chips are getting old, really old. You know, what is it, 40 years? And they are starting to fail quite a lot. So those sorts of, you know, if you get hold of an original Macintosh, there's a very good chance you're going to have to replace some of the RAM chips on it. I can borrow your brain. No, you need your brain, Kai, because you're working on a reloaded 2SI. I don't want to take away any of your resources. So just mentioning that again to anyone who might have joined a little late, and that is that Kai is currently working on making a Macintosh 2SI reloaded board, which is very, very timely, given that I have a 2SI over here with some troubles. We may even look at that when I finish working on this board. There's just one more thing I want to do with this board, that is empty the solder out of these holes and put an FPU socket on it. Once I've got the FPU socket on, I'll put this aside. This can get ultrasonically cleaned, and then we might, if we've got a little bit of time left, we might have a quick look at this 2SI. After I've done the PSU. Oh, what are you doing to the PSU? No, it's not superfluous. It's not superfluous at all. You end up with better results when you do benchmarking tests if you have an FPU in, and that's rewarding. So there. Right, let's make a little bit of room here, and we'll jump back onto the scope view. So the first thing we have to do is get solder out of all these bloody holes, and that's going to be a real pain in the backside. I'll probably add a bit of flux on here to help it go fluidy. Doing this just like eventually right now. I'm getting back into the sprint using the 2SI power board, the little one. You talk about that little daughter board type thing which sticks up vertically out of the power supply. That should be fairly easy because that's only 2 layers, isn't it? Or is it even only 1 layer? I would imagine that would be a pretty easy one to do. No, not the whole PSU. You're doing the whole PSU. It's crazy. A job for the Bruceinator? Maybe, except that I just covered it in flux. I'm going to try the WICK first, see how that goes. Emptying these holes. And then we'll see which one works bestest. Got 1 little hole. 2 little holes. I did have an extra spool of this solder wick, but me being such a generous person, I actually have given that to Dana. I sent a little soldering care package to Dana Does Stuff, and included some wick, because it's really easy for me to buy this wick. It's not the cheapest. I mean, I can buy it cheaper online, but the great stuff about this wick is my local electronics retailer, which is very close, very nearby, they sell this there. They just have it on the shelf. I just walk in there and grab it. Dan is becoming one of us, yes. BC Jeffro, hello. just a reminder to everyone how awesome it is that we have people like Kai and people like Bowl, and who else is there? All the other people who can't think of at the moment, who are doing this absolutely amazing stuff for the vintage Mac community. And at the end of the day, most of the time these people are just doing it just to contribute. And they're doing it for themselves and for the community. And so BruceNate is working quite well. So, you know, we should be extremely pleased that we have these sorts of people that are prepared to give up their time. Oh, and Max, yes. Now, see, Max is someone I've had no contact with, I don't think. Have I? Does he have a different name, a different alias? Does he not like me? Actually, is the Max the one that has the name? It's just like Max ZX or something like that. Yeah, that might be it. So I probably have had contact. But again, just barrel loads of awesomeness. Bowl did the SE30 grayscale mod, and I asked for one really early on in the piece, so he put one aside for me, and he put one aside for Sean of Action Retro as well. And I was planning to do a video on it, and I actually just sort of had a bit of a gentleman's agreement with Sean that I would that if he wouldn't mind holding off so that I could do a video first. But then time got the best of me, and then I ended up saying to Sean, look, you do your video. I am doing a disservice to the community by not releasing a video, so you do it. And he did, a great video. Check it out if you haven't seen it, of the grayscale upgrade to the SE30. And I incorrectly thought that this was something that would just then suddenly become readily available to everyone. If they had the money, they could order one of these from Bowl, and you could then just get it, and you could plug it into your SE30. They weren't cheap. I've got to tell you, they weren't cheap. I mean, I paid, I think, 400 euros or something like that for it. But you could get this grayscale upgrade for your SE30, so you could end up running 256 shades of grey on the little CRT. But what I then found out afterwards, that he had limited parts. And so he only made a few. I don't know how many he made in total, but the one that I have is actually a very kind of limited release, which I just did not know was going to be the case. But I'm so freaking pleased that I did actually end up getting it, because even though it's arguably one of the most pointless upgrades for an SE30, I mean, why? Why would you do that? It's still all kinds of awesome. Yeah, the BruceNate is doing really well. So this is my solder sucker, and the thing about it is that I bought this, once again, from my local electronics retailer, the one just up the road, and I was talking to Jay about it. I said, oh, this thing does an amazing job, because this thing is just, you know, just sucks away. And Jay went to try and find one, and I think went to Amazon, and they were really expensive. And I said, that's crazy. It'd be cheaper for me to post you one. So I bought one from my local electronics retailer. It sat here for, I don't know, 6 months, would you say? Something like that, Jay? Then I eventually posted it to him, but because it was sent to him from Australia, he then called it the BruceNator. That's where the name came from. The spring on the suction is so strong it kicks back. This one does to some extent there as well. Yes, JCar is the place. I think can suck the water out of a pond. Yeah, this thing is good, but it does have that problem as well, that it does kick back a bit, and so you have to be careful that you don't do damage. I mean, as it is here, I am probably doing a little bit of damage here, but thankfully this one's fairly, you know, strong. I don't think there's anything really that I'm in risk of damaging here. Sorry, this is very repetitive. I do apologise. So yeah, that's how the name the BruceNator came along. It was Jay who named it that. And it is great. And a lot of the time I find this works better than the mechanical one that I have, because this one gives you that really fast but high-powered suction. Whereas the mechanical one gives you a constant suction, but it doesn't have that same power behind it. And it's a lot cheaper too. Oy. Now, admittedly, getting solder out of holes that have nothing in the holes is a lot easier than getting solder out of holes that like have a pin sticking through them as well. Yeah. Double entendres. Working our way around. So JCar Electronics is a chain out here, and they are in most, I think, capital cities, and they're a company that have managed to kind of stay afloat when a lot of other companies doing the same sort of thing went bust. They don't sell the same number of components that they used to. You can still get a good range of resistors, capacitors, diodes, you know, some ICs, you know, fairly straightforward ones. They sell Arduino stuff. They sell Raspberry Pi. They sell stuff for car audio. That's something that I think has helped the business a lot. They sell stuff for kids, you know, toys, learning games, electronics things for kids. And they sell car fridges, lots and lots of car fridges. Cables, you know, audio cables, power cables, connectors. What else? But anyhow, the main reason I mention it is that they have managed to sort of diversify the business so that they're not just selling electronics. Oh, 3D printers and filament. That's something they're buying filament there all the time these days. Yeah, I'm pleased. I was shocked to hear. But when did I drop the F-bomb? When did I do that? Did I drop the F-bomb? Did I? If I did, I don't remember. But that's fine. I mean, I do swear a lot, and it is highly likely that I said something and didn't remember. $20 Lucky Dip grab. Yeah, they used to sell things like all the old stock and that. They still do have bargain bins there sometimes. So when I go in there, there'll be a bunch of like stock they're trying to get rid of. And of course, the other thing they did recently was they had a big warehouse sale. The warehouse is not as close to me. It's about a half an hour drive from here for their warehouse, and they just sold stuff. It was a long weekend, I think. It was like a 3-day thing, I think, and I didn't find out about it until the second or third day. So by the time I got there, a lot of the really good stuff was gone. But I still walked away with a few things. I walked away with a few 12-volt, really good quality 12-volt power supplies. You know, not the wall wart type ones. I mean, proper switching power supplies. I walked away with, I think, like 4 of those. And I came away with a whole stack of USB cables and stuff. And I got that for just a few dollars, so that was quite good. Sorry about the repetition here, folks, but we are nearly the end. Probably should have thought about this before, about how incredibly boring it is to watch someone suck solder out of holes. Oh, look at all the goop coming out. I've made my own solder paste. Good if you live in Sydney, but I'm a Queenslander. Well, for the warehouse sale, yeah, but you definitely have J cars up there, don't you? But you can't do anything about the warehouse sale. I appreciate that. I mean, I found out about the warehouse sale from a, what's his name? David Jones. What's his name? Oh God, what's his name? He's got the YouTube channel. Can't remember. His name's David Jones, but I just can't remember what the channel's called. Someone will remember. Someone will remember. Okay, I think we're all pretty much through here. EV blog, that's the one. He did a video about it, and I'm like, oh crap, I need to go there. So I went there the next day. Right, well I think we're all holy now. Holier than holy. Now, this here is right there. That's a little dot to indicate pin 1. PLCC chips have pin 1 in the middle. JK and Bundaberg, cool. Drop some super chats, guys. Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Yeah, please feel free. Super chats are something that just seem to be, they just don't happen much anymore. Certainly not for me. I mean, I'm sure they do for other YouTubers. When I very first started, people used to super chat all the time, but these days, I don't think people super chat that much. I mean, I think there's a general attitude these days of, you know, sort of, you know, well, number one, obviously, YouTube take a chunk, but another is that I think people are kind of like, you know, why should I pay for the content? You know, I shouldn't have to pay for it. And I also think that when people get their channels to a certain size, people probably think, oh, you're getting enough money from YouTube already anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because when I started out, the super chats used to pop up all the time, but these days they don't pop up much at all. And no, I appreciate it when they do, but I don't expect anyone to do it. I mean, I've got people that are paying Patreon, and I got people that just send me donations out of the blue and stuff like that. And you know, I mean, that's all nice. So, so yeah, it's not something I'm like, oh, gotta have a super chat or anything like that. That was the thing that I one of the reasons why I never really do what do you call them? When you do your video and you have people watching the video, people chatting when you're watching a pre-recorded video. What are they called? Premiere. So when you do a premiere, so if I've got a pre-recorded video, you have an option to actually have it start at a particular time as a premiere. What that means is that there's actually a live chat as you watch the pre-recorded video rather than a live stream. And I've never really done those because I feel like that's just people trying to milk it for super chats. But right, I am going to grab a socket, which is here somewhere, and I'm probably going to make myself incredibly uncomfortable, stretching and twisting and trying to find them, because they're up here somewhere. They're in one of these containers that I have labelled MISC. But the problem is I have so many labelled MISC, and I haven't yet organised them into things like, oh, these are connectors, and these are sockets, and these are this, and these are that. They're just MISC. I found it. Oh, God. Oof. Oochie wumma. So, let's go to the top view here for a second. 26 million views a year before you can do YouTube full time. That's a lot, isn't it? Now, I can't remember which size socket this is. Is it this one? That looks about right. I don't know what this bigger one's for. Look at the size of that one. Oh, that's for, that's off an SE. That's what that's for. I do make money from YouTube. It's not enough to retire on or anything like that. But when it comes in, it's like, oh, that's nice. Little bit extra. Little bit extra this week. Got a bent pin. There we go. So these sockets have a little arrow. I don't know if you can see that, but there's an arrow just there. And that arrow is pointing to where pin 1 is, so that makes it easier for when you put the actual chip in there. So I'm going to solder that on there. Solder. I'm going to do my little trick here because I want to start soldering it without holding it, but I want to hold it in position just to get it like a couple of pins in place. So I'm just going to hold the solder here next to it while I'm holding the socket in place and just do that. Just melt 1 pin. That's enough to hold that bit on. And then I'll do one in the diagonally opposite corner. Spin it around that way. And I'll just hold that in place. Hold that there. There we go. So there we've got, it's held in at opposite corners, so it's not going anywhere now. And then I can just work my way through and solder the rest of them. Hey, won't that be fun? It won't take as long as getting the solder out, that's for sure. Adrian's Digital Basement has 200,000 users now doing it full time. I think between 100 and 200,000 is where you can really start to see an amount of money coming in that you could potentially start doing it full time. I mean, I know that one of the considerations you have to have, in particular if you're in the States, is if you're in a job that has health. The minute you start doing something like that by yourself, you then have to start looking after your health by yourself. But that's not a consideration that I have. I would say, because the other thing is you don't just make money from YouTube. I mean, for people that are, got sort of bigger channels, they will often have other ways of making money as well. Things like merchandise, affiliate links, sponsorships, those sorts of things. There are actually other ways, other revenue streams when you have a profile. But I would say I would like to just get to the point where my YouTube paid for my mortgage. It did in the early days, when I started getting some really big hits with some of the videos that I had, when I had a few videos that were almost of a viral status. But yeah, if I can just get the YouTube pay for my mortgage, then I'll be happy. Actually, come to think of it, it is close. Interest rates went up recently though, so that probably changed things. Fran Lab did a GoFundMe to pay her health insurance last year. Gosh. Can I do that? That pin was shorter than the others. Why was that pin shorter than the others? Just checking to make sure that none of these are just sticking up. No, they're not. Good. PLCC socket extractor tools up there are completely useless. I actually have one, but I probably use it more for extracting other ICs than PLCCs. I tend to just take PLCCs out with a very, very thin screwdriver, just stuck into the corner, and then lever it out a little bit, and then go to the other corner and lever it out a little bit. I could be drag soldering this, but I tend not to drag solder much with through-hole stuff. I drag solder a lot with surface mount, but I tend to just do them one at a time, and I'm getting lots of fumes here. So I don't have any FPU chips at the moment spare. I need to buy some more. But at least this one's ready for it, yeah? Yeah? Ready for it. Let's check and make sure it still works. After that, because I do know someone who went to do this once and it didn't work afterwards. It's like, that's disappointing. And they were asking me for help. And I thought, well, I can't really help you because there's nothing that would actually theoretically stop it from working for just putting a socket on there unless you damage something while you're putting the socket on. So you know what you're going to have to do, don't you? You're going to have to check for damage. Yep. Happy little chime. And we actually got video there. I could actually just see the little thing come up. Alright, so that is it for the 2LC2. Once again, just mentioning that we have 3 out of 3 from the Barnfired working. The Quadra 605 LC475, got that one working. The LC3, I ended up actually using a different board, but then salvaging some pieces off the one that I got from the barn. So that's working, and then this is the LC2, and that is working as well. And I will try and clean these up too. But this will look 1,000 times better once it's been ultrasonically cleaned. So the next thing I want to do, if we've just got a little bit of time left, I don't know, people might be getting bored with me, but I'm not going to do this for long, but I do want to just have a little look at the 2SI board that I was working on. So that's the 4th one. I did recap that, and it didn't work. We get the white screen. I wouldn't mind just having a little look around some of the danger areas on that, some of the ugly areas, and just seeing how it looks. Maybe take a couple of components off, clean up some pads, and put it back. Oh, what's crawling on me? Oh no, that's just a cable. Always the risk there's something crawling on you when you're in a shed. Round houses, yeah. So Kai, we're a very similar situation here in Sydney. House prices, the median house price in Sydney is about 900 and something thousand. So median, obviously being average, is about 900 and something thousand, 950 or 60 something $1,000 to get a house here. The houses in the area I'm in, and I'm not in a particularly desirable area, but the houses in this area, they're probably going for around about that. There was one house that sold just the other day for, I think it was 870,000. Just a little three bedroom cottage type place. It's bloody expensive in Sydney, I tell you. If I wanted to buy in the area where I grew up, because of the way house prices have gone up, I'd probably need $1.5 million to $2 million to buy a house there, which I don't have. But I bought this 20 years ago. I didn't pay that for it. The property prices have just skyrocketed. My mortgage isn't actually that bad. And I hear what some people are going through. I should have actually paid mine off by now, but I'm a slacker. McFly. I looked at all of the hard drives of all of these barn finds as well. So I think all but one had a hard drive. One of them, hard drive just fired up beautifully, no problem there at all. Just had a vanilla install of 7.5 on it. There was a couple of things on there, but no documents and no applications, just system really. One of them was completely dead. That was the 2SI. That's a 40 megabyte. So that's the original 40 megabyte in the 2SI. And I couldn't get that to fire up. And there was another hard drive there, and that one had a bunch of games and stuff on it, but nothing really of any importance. But yeah, I had a look at some of those games, and everything that I saw on there was already on Macintosh Garden, so I really didn't see much point in doing any archival work. Okay. We went back. Yeah, property prices are doing some amazing things. So the house that I live in is basically a 3-bedroom house. We've renovated the kitchen. We've renovated the bathroom. It's got a lovely kitchen and bathroom, I have to tell you. And we've done some work on on the floors and painting and that sort of stuff. And so, look, it's very livable. It's a nice house. And I obviously can't help you with square feet because we don't use that. But the block of land is just under 600 square meters. So you can probably calculate that in square feet with some sort of convertery-doodery-dee thing. But, yeah. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of danger areas on this 2SI board. So here's the 2SI board. Okay, we have tried this. We just get a white screen. It's been recapped. You can see I've done a little bit of UV mask here on some of the traces that I exposed. But we've got a couple of areas on this where it looks particularly crunchy and nasty. Now, where you would normally expect it to be bad is all around here, because that's where you have 3 caps there. But on this one, probably the worstest is around here. And these are the 2 ROMs here. So I'm actually tempted to remove these ROMs, clean up the pads and everything and traces and have a look at them and see if they all look okay. See we've got no breaks and then do that. Hey, Dana pipes up because he likes 2SIs. Who doesn't like 2SIs? Well, probably the people that are recapping the power supplies. They probably hate them. So I'm just going to jump into the scope here again, and if we have a look here, I can't see. There we go. So this has actually been ultrasonically cleaned, which gives you an idea of just how dirty this board was, because you wouldn't know it when you look at this gunge. But there is some gunge that even an ultrasonic cleaner can't sort out. You see all this greying around here. These things still appear to be making contact. You've got some exposed traces there. When it comes to actual broken traces on these things, see, look at that. Yeah, still stuck. When it comes to actual broken traces, sometimes you'll see little black spots, and they can equate to a broken trace, but not always. A lot of those black spots, usually to scrape them off and you still find copper underneath. Geez, that's high. Riding high in the saddle. Okay, so our onboard RAM here, and there's a replaced tantalum cap. And here's some, this is me, did a little bit of scrape before, see? I've already been scraping. So I'm going to take this guy off first. I'm going to do them one at a time so I don't get them mixed up, because that's the sort of thing I would do, because I'm an idiot. First Mac back in 92. Still have it. Awesome. Have you recapped the power supply, by the way, Dana? Just curious about that. Or recap the logic board, for that matter. Because, you know these old Macs. Dana's going to be doing some recapping soon. I have 2 2SIs. I'm not quite sure how I ended up with 2. But often what happens with it, well, 3 if you include this one. Often what happens is you just, either you might find a deal, and with that deal another computer might be included that you already have. I think that's how I got my second one. I think my second one I picked it up in a lot with some others. She blows. Ouch. The Bernies. I hope I didn't destroy that ship. That copped a lot of heat. Okay, let's put that to one side. We'll clean that up in a moment, but we want to clean up what's underneath it first. So all of these here, I want to check and make sure that we've got good continuity going out both sides of these pads. And it is way easier to do that without the chip in place. So we're going to douse this now in a hefty amount of flux, and we're just going to go to town on these pads. Only places 144. Oh, you talking about the house or the land? Yeah, I got no idea what the space is of the house. I only know the land size. It's all about land here because land's so freaking expensive. You can always knock down and stick another house on there. So I've got no idea what the square meterage or square footage is of the house, only of the land. These are cleaning up pretty well. I like it. I like it a lot. Board and PSU are recapped. Oh. Recently picked up an AMScope. Patrick is saying, I recently picked up an AMScope trinocular scope, and I totally love it. Can see what I'm working on really nicely. Yeah, you know, I had been using a digital microscope first, and it allowed me to do some stuff that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to do, for sure. It's better than nothing. And it was a rubbish one, too, by the way. It wasn't one of the nice ones like the ones I reviewed. And then I decided to take the plunge and get the big AMScope. Cost a fortune because they're so heavy to get it shipped. And when I first started using it, I was like, oh, this is going to take some getting used to, you know, because it was like, I felt like it was harder to use than the digital one was. But once I'd used it for a bit and got used to it, they are the best thing. I mean, they are, in my opinion, the most important thing for doing this precision electronics type work. But they are also one of the most expensive items. You know, these, as I say, for me in Australia, having to get it shipped from the States, it was a big investment. But I have no regrets. I'm very, very glad I bought it. It brings me joy. Now, a lot of these pads, you may see there's like a little black line where the trace meets the pad. That's a danger zone. That black line doesn't automatically mean that there's no contact there, that that's a break, but it is a weak point. So we will hit that with a multimeter and test. Going to give it a clean first, get all this goop off. Ah, Enzo knows. Enzo knows what's coming. Any second now. We're going to test this out. Well, I did say multimeter, didn't I? I said the magic words. So we're going to get a Kaiweets KM601 digital multimeter, which is under everything. There we go. I've got nice pointy leads on these, so these are quite good. Oh, see what I did? Does anyone see what I did there? I bumped the wire. So then we got to see chickens. Shall we say hello to the chickens? Let's go and say hello to the chickens. There we go. That's the blind chicken that you can see there, that brownish looking one, and there's the black one. That one is an Australorp, and that one is kind of like the boss of the coop. That one is, it's a hen, obviously, but it behaves more like a rooster a lot of the time, very defensive. It's the biggest chicken there too. She's a unit. But then, I don't know where the others are, but they're there. I haven't fed them today, so they're going to be pretty pissed off. Scope view, scope view, scope view. There it is. Alrighty, so let's go and test out what our continuity looks like. Ha! Kai wheats. Kai doesn't wheat. Hey, I see what you did there. Okay, so always test the continuity to start off with to make sure that what you're working with is actually fine. These all look fine. I don't need to check these ones up here. These ones here don't look as fine. So we'll check these out. So we've got good, 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 good. That one goes nowhere. Good, Good. 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 Geez, that one looked ugly. I was really hoping that'd be bad. Good, good. 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 Where's that one go? I don't know. Now, keep in mind, of course, these have all just been cleaned. There is always a possibility that some of these did have a break and then I've cleaned them and got solder into that gap. But at this stage, they all look pretty fine to me. So, you know, they're looking good. So now we're just going to clean the chip and we'll put the chip back. Oh God, look at all this flux leaking out. Son of a gun. Is that it? No. Where is it? I need my little chip holder. Here it is. Now, everyone asks me where I got this from, and the answer is I haven't been able to find new ones of these. So, anyone who's actually like, oh, I would really like one of those, I don't blame you. It's awesome, but I've had trouble. I can find them, but I can't find ones that have as smaller thingy as this. You know, the grips. They're quite narrow that allow me to put quite small chips on there. And it's a really, really handy thing to have. Oops. Especially when it holds it in. Might just do it this way. Might just be easier that way. Now stay there. You do what I tell you to do. No. There we go. A lot of flux, a lot of flux. I initially bought a less expensive amp scope, and after using it for a couple of weeks, I sent it back and bought one like Bruce and Steve have. It was expensive, but I have zero regrets. Yeah, look, I don't blame you. In actual fact, Steve did a similar thing. So, for starters, Steve's got, at the moment he doesn't, because I've got a completely different arm on this now, because I've got the Vivor arm on it. But the arm that I used to have, that's the one that Steve has, the same base with the slidey forwardy back thing. He's got a slightly different actual head to his one than what I have. But he initially bought one that was binocular, sort of trinocular. It was a kind of a bit of a scam. It's not really a scam, but if you didn't know, it gets you caught out. And it's like, yeah, it's trinocular, isn't it? It's got a thing here for your camera, and then you've got your each eye. But the way it worked is that it had only 2 channels for the light, and you could flick between the camera or the right eye. So if you had the camera working, you could only see through the left. So you could either look at it binocular, or you could look at it with a single eyepiece and have the camera connected. And he sent that back and ended up getting the proper true trinocular one. Obviously, Steve's intention always was to do live streams of what he was doing, and so it made no sense to have that particular one. So. Yeah, take an eyepiece out to put a camera in. Yeah, not a good setup. So anyhow, this one here, even though they refer to it as a trinocular, there are only two paths of light down to what we're looking at. So I can see a stereo view, so I can actually judge distances when I look through this. Because it's magnified, you have to get used to the distances, but once you get used to it, it's just second nature. You just automatically know how far away something is when you look in there. But so it is an actual binocular view, so you do get depth perception when you look through it. You're obviously not seeing that because you're seeing a single one, but I can actually get depth perception when I look through there. But the camera, it actually piggybacks on the right lens. So the right lens has a little prism in there where I can look through with the eyepiece, but then the camera can look through that as well. So I'm going to put my finger in front of the right eyepiece, and you can see it's blocking the camera, but I can actually still see because I can still see out the left eye. I should do it a little bit closer. There we go. There we go. Oh no, it must be the other one. It's the left one. It's the left one. It's the left one that the camera is connected to, not the right one. So don't listen to me. I'm talking nonsense. But anyhow, it's borrowing my left eye, not my right eye. Right, now, this is cleaned up enough, I think, to solder back on. So let's solder it back on, and then we'll test it. I don't think it'll make any difference whatsoever, but I always say to people, test often, because if you do like a whole bunch of different things, and then it suddenly starts working, you have no idea which thing it was you did that made it work. Now, when I'm putting these sorts of chips on, pretty liberal with the flux, and I will then basically solder on a pin in each corner, and then I'll drag solder the rest. I have lost my flux. There it is. No, oh, this will do. This is good flux. I like this flux. So I get a little bit of solder onto the end of my iron tip, and I had someone leave a comment on my beginner's guide to soldering, and he said something like, "Oh, so you have a $500 soldering iron, and then you do the whole thing with a cheap soldering iron. That makes no sense." And I just replied to him. I said, whole purpose of the video was to show that you can get good soldering results even with a cheap iron. I am sorry, you completely and totally missed the point of the video. It's got to come down a tiny bit. That's all right. Okay, so now we do one up in this corner. Like that. And now we can do the sides. I've got a bit of a bent pin here on the right. I want to straighten that out. Why didn't you flux when you removed that chip? Cause. It's not a bad idea to flux before you remove a chip because it does help that solder flow, and I probably should have, but I didn't. But I will for the next one. How about that? There we go. So now I can do this one at the top. I probably need a bit more flux up here. Yeah. I should be doing this with my test fluxes, but I'm not. I'll come back to that row. I want to come at them from a different angle. Okay, so I'm going to spin that around, and then we'll do this. And we'll do this side. I'm kind of tempted with this one. You'll know when you see it. I'm tempted with this one to actually remove the CPU as well, because it's pretty crusty. You've got to be really careful working with this 68030s because they the pins are really thin and incredibly easy to bend. Where's my wick? Oh, having trouble convincing this little bit of solder bridge to come out. Solder! Oh, good night. 4 AM. Well, thank you very much for joining, Kai. Much appreciated. I am now going to fire this up, see if it works, and it won't, but I'm going to fire it up anyway. Boop, boop, boop. Listen, look, oh, look at that. Look at that bridge. Look at the bridge. Okay, that's why we check. That's why we check. Scope cam is going at 1 frame a second. Oh wow, what's going on there? Let's see if we can remedy that. Need something white. Piece of white paper. There we go. Off. Hello, chicken. And on. That's, oh, something funky going on, isn't it? Oh well, I'm about to change cameras now anyway, so. Top view. Top view. There we go. Alrighty, so just this chip here, replaced him, well, sorry, removed him, cleaned it and put him back. And I think I got it around the right way. Yep, I did. Then I need my power supply, which is here. Now, the big problem I have with the 2SI is I can't connect up a speaker because it's stupid. The speaker is actually connected to like these little metal tabs underneath here. So I would have to, you actually have to wire one in. I don't want to do that. So we're going to have to just check and see if this is working with video alone. Okay. Whoops. What's new in calendar? Let's close that so I can see. And back to there. Right, so this one has a power switch, doesn't it? Yes, it does. So we'll connect him in there, get him in a state of readiness. Now the 2SI, I think, has the crappy sync on green video. So I'm going to use my sync on green display connector, which is here somewhere. I know it was here because I was using it just before. So we're just going to find it under stuff. There it is. Oh, thank you for that link there, Jane. Just to remind everyone that there is that, what is it? Recap a Mac. That's the thing, yes. And of course, always reminding people to check out Tinker Different. If anyone's wondering what that noise is, it's a raven. You're starting to piss me off. Okay. So what I'm expecting here is a white screen and nothing else. So there we go. So what will happen when we switch this on, I will get a signal, but it just won't be a usable one. So you're ready, steady, and go. Okay, there's my white screen. Sometimes when they're really bad, you can get all sorts of weird colors on there. You can get blues and greens and stuff, but this is just good old-fashioned white. But that's as far as we're going. We don't get any further than that. And that is just typical of the 2SI. That's not a happy chappy. So it still has a problem somewhere. Again, totally expected. I really didn't do anything. So, yeah. Fell asleep. What year is it? Yeah, you really didn't miss much. So anyhow, I don't remember. What was the last thing you saw, Steve? I'll try and fill in the gaps for you. Can't promise you won't fall asleep again because I haven't got more exciting or anything. Times that I'll probably have to. We're coming up for, what is that? 3 hours. So let's just do this second ROM chip and then we'll call it a day. How about that? Set people up with a finish. See, this is scope view. Oh, actually, assuming the scope view wants to play. If the scope view's still being an idiot, then yeah, scope view's being an idiot. Scope view looks a lot like chicken view, doesn't it? Okay, let's just try. Okay, I'll do this one last try. If I can't get the scope to work, we'll just wrap things up early today, and then we'll, because the computer probably just needs to be restarted. Oh, so far so good. Let me know if it gets weird. So we'll just whip this little guy off, have a little bit of a clean, pop him back on, and then that'll be a good day's worth. They're really crusty there. Get some more flux on there. I was talking about chicken thighs. So had I fixed the LC2? Did you get to see the LC2 fire up? Yeah, well the LC2 was working, so fired that up, booted into System 7. Very, very pleased to see that the RAM that came with it was two 4 megabyte sims, so it's maxed out to its possible 10 megabytes. So 10 megabytes and a 512K VRAM sim, and it worked. And so it's going to get cleaned as soon as I finish this live stream. So I've mentioned a few times before, I don't ultrasonically clean while I'm live streaming because of the noise. I can't hear myself think. And so that was a success. So then I've moved on to a 2SI here, which has given me some grief, and I'm just focusing on the crunchy areas at the moment. So this is the ROM. I've removed the ROM chip next to it, and I've now removed this one, and I'm just cleaning up these pads, doing little multimeter continuity checks to see that there aren't any breaks on these traces, and then putting the component back on again. What temp am I using to remove that chip? So I have the hot air station on its peak, on its fastest air blowing setting, which is like 100%. And then I have it set on, I think it's 420 or 430 degrees C. I generally find to go with the higher temperature and then just try and get in and out as quick as possible. And then after that, I will then get my solder wick and give them a gentle rub there. It works like kind of like sort of almost like sandpaper to get these pads clean. I also want a little bit of the trace where it leads up to the pad to be exposed, so that allows me to check and see if there are any little gaps or anything there. So far, I haven't found any. Blu-ray rewinder. I've got all of my Blu-rays like in boxes because I don't really have enough space to have them, and of course I just digitize them and have them on Plex. I can tell my fume extractor is too far away because I can smell. These pads are coming up looking real good. Which is a bit of a shame, actually, because it means that there really was nothing wrong with them. And the fault is elsewhere. But we'll get it. I've never been defeated by a 2SI yet. And that is an absolute bold-faced lie. I don't even need to check the continuity on those. They all look perfect. Not a single break anywhere. Nice, nice. This is nice. Yes, nice. It's very nice. Okay, so then we'll just clean the chip, pop him back on, do one final test, and then call it a day. Or a night, or a morning, or wherever it is. However it is near you. I need to do a little bit of shopping, and I need to do a little bit of cleaning, and I wouldn't mind doing a little bit of coding as well. I'm testing some code out at the moment, and I've started working on it yesterday, and it was looking very promising. So there's part of me that wants to really try it out and see if it works. Because for those who aren't aware, and I'm sure most of you are, but for those who aren't aware, that is my day job. I am a web developer working primarily in PHP and JavaScript. And of course the obvious HTML and CSS, but primarily PHP and JavaScript. And I don't build websites in terms of like, oh, here's my I don't know, my friend owns a something business, build them a website. I don't do that sort of stuff. I do kind of integrations of things, working with APIs, combining things together to get, usable tools. So it's all about turning a website into something like functional, like a web app type thing. That's the sort of stuff that I do. I've built a few systems. I've built tracking systems for workers. I've built a rewards program. What else have I done? Ages ago, I did this really cool thing that was an editor, like for a book company. So a book company had it so that you could view, with a subscription, you could view their books online, and then set it up so that you could go through and highlight passages of text and store them and create bookmarks and all that sort of stuff. I did that years ago. That sort of stuff is really easy now, but at the time I did that, it was pretty complex. I enjoy doing it. I find it quite rewarding. WordPress, yeah. I mean, I use WordPress for my own websites. I mean, why not? Someone else has done all the work. The main issue I have with WordPress is a lot of the time, even if you want a basic site, it has a massive overhead. So it's a big, bulky sort of thing for, and often instances you're only using a very small part of it. That's the only issue I have with it, but ultimately it's quite good. I did build my own content management system. I did it because there was someone that wanted a website, but they had all this custom stuff they needed to put into it, like really massively custom. And I wasn't happy about necessarily doing that in WordPress, so I built a content management system. And it's quite good. And it's not, and it does the trick. It gives the customer the ability to make their own edits, but it also allows me to stick in all this custom code for some of the stuff that website needs to do. There's a really cool thing you can get for WordPress. So anyone who's a coder, there's a plugin that you can get which allows you to just stick chunks of custom PHP code into a website really easily, and JavaScript as well if you want. And it's a really good way if you just need to do a little bit of coding. I did that for someone as well. Welcome to Marketosh, yes. Print graphics or pre-press. That's my my old job. I did that for 15 years, and yeah, it was good. I mean, I started off in pre-press when the industry was changing massively. We used to print out onto bromides, and so at the time that I started, we still had these things called CRtronics terminals, and they were a machine where they were like a very powerful sort of laser printer, but you would load fonts into them, and using a particular type of language, you would type text in a particular font, whatever font you wanted, and then they would come out in galleys. So as in, like, when you look at a magazine, you see there's a strip of text like that. So the text would come out in galleys, and then you would take those galleys and you would cut them up, and you would manually design your page on, sort of on a board type thing, and then that would then get shot into and turned into film and then printed. And then desktop publishing happened, and that allowed you to not have to just do galleys. You could actually design stuff on the computer and then print it out already designed. So you didn't actually have to cut anything up. There was no cutting required. You had your page already designed. You check and see what it looked like on a laser printer first, and then you print it to the high-res printer. We used the Linotronic 300 printer, and then of course, we got all the Macs, and we did all the desktop publishing and raster image processing, and Adobe PostScript, and all that sort of crap. And of course, that is another reason why, of course, I'm a Mac person. I mean, I was already a Mac person, and that was kind of why I ended up in this industry, because I wasn't a designer or anything like that. I was just hired as a dog's body, as just a young kid to do odd tasks. But then I kind of went really well. Once I got in there, they were all very happy with my work and performance, and so I got then more responsibility and did other things and started learning more things and lots of things. Going to clean off the excess of the flux on this. Not trying to get it spotless or anything like that, but if I've done an accidental bridge here or something like that, it's a lot easier to see if I clean it up a bit. Agfa Select Set 5000, I know that one. Yeah, we had so we started off with the Linotronic 300. That was the first one that we had, and that was using a Linotronic rip with it. And that was very, very, I mean, it wasn't very powerful, but that is just how it was back then. No one knew how complex desktop publishing would become. I mean, all the different fonts that people would start using and all that sort of stuff. And then we got I wish I could remember what brand it was, but we had it running with a thing called a Hyphen rip. There was a company called Hyphen. And they started bringing out rips that just ran on PCs. So instead of you buying a dedicated rip, you could just get a PC and put a card in it. And so if you wanted to make your rip fast, all you had to do was upgrade to a faster PC. So that was a big change in the industry. That ended up happening normally. I mean, from then on, we just had computers as rips, Macs sometimes. What's the flux of choice these days? Now, what I'm using right now is not the flux of choice. I'm using this one because I have heaps of it, and I'm using the newer formula NC559V2. This one actually has a UV tracer in it. This one's quite good, but I still prefer the ASM. If I am going to be totally honest, I still prefer the ASM over all of them. But having said that, as part of my next video, I am going to be doing a few tests with 3 main ones, maybe 4, maybe 5. But I'm going to do some trace repairs, and I'm going to see how I go. Because trace repairs are where I need the flux to hang around. I need it to keep working so that I don't have to keep putting more flux on. It keeps getting exposed to heat. I need it to stay where it is, not all burn away in a flash. And I need it to keep working so that I have minimal reapplication of flux. So I'm going to be doing that test. Cytex and Fujisumo. Yeah, I honestly cannot remember the names. I can't remember the brands. I can picture them in my head, but I just can't remember the brands. And there was one of the companies we bought, and oh, and they were. I think they might have just been someone else's hardware with a different badge on it. Was it? It was the name of a Panther. That's right, Panther. So we had two image setters, a big one and a small one, and the big one was called a Panther, and it was like a Panther 600, and the other one was a Panther 300 or something like that. But what we ended up doing within the place was, because we had the big one and the small one, we called the big one the Panther, and we called the smaller one the Cub, as in a Panther Cub, as in a baby one. And that caused so much issue because a lot of the staff that came into the place had no idea that that was just what we called them. And there were times when they would like ring up technical support and say, we're having problems with the Cub. And it's like, what the fuck is a Cub? Oh dear. Anyhow, that was good times, good times. Got to laugh at your own stuff, don't you? Lots of stories, good times, lots of stories. Right, I am going to just try this again before finishing up the live stream. I know it's not going to make any difference because I haven't done anything. It was still pretty clean, so I'm not really fussed about that. Yeah, I know, that was definitely an F-bomb. I just definitely dropped that in. And there are still a lot of areas on this board that need to be checked, so I'm just going to go back to the top view here. So looking at this board, sorry, it's hanging off. I'm going to ever do that. So I've done some work around here where there are plenty of other areas that are a bit scungy on this. There's this area here. So that's around the CPU. Those pins are looking pretty crunchy, so I may end up taking that off and cleaning that. This area here really doesn't look too crash hot either, so I've got to have a good old look around that area there. So I'm going to have a just quick look there now. Just look. Don't touch. Yeah. I'll show you what I'm looking at here. I've done a little bit of a scrape around here, but you can see these traces look pretty, not nice. So I'm probably going to be inclined to maybe take these sound chips off and clean around there, because they will have had the leakage from the capacitors that were here before. Same with here. I don't know if these are things that would stop it necessarily from firing up. But, look at these traces around here do look pretty crusty. These look good. These are fine. All right, okay. So last test before we wrap it up for the day. Back to the top view. Get our power supply from down here. Oh, have I got the... That's the right thing for the ROM, isn't it? I don't want the jumper on there. The jumper should be off for the ROM. I'm pretty sure it's meant to be off. If you put a jumper on this little thing here, you can get it to read from an external ROM. I did try that when I very first used it. It made no difference. So. All right. Get ready for a white screen, peeps. Because it's what we're used to seeing on this thing. All right, here we go. So, final test before we finish things up. 3, 2, 1. There we go. White screen. So, no change, but no surprises that there's no change. That's, as I said before, I didn't do anything. I didn't actually check anything or fix anything, so... Go for at least another hour, just take the chips off. Oh, look, I could keep working on this, and I may even do that, but I just, I've got things that I need to get done. It's the weekend here, and I need to do a bit of cleaning, otherwise I'll get in trouble with my better half, because it's all very well for me to be out here live streaming and that, but, bathrooms don't clean themselves, kitchens don't clean themselves, floors don't clean themselves, so I don't want to be the one that just disappears and leaves all those sorts of jobs to someone else, so... got to do the right thing. And, of course, I do need to go out shopping and buy a few things for my dinner tonight. Yummy bolognese. Going to make some spaghetti bolognese. Spaghetti. Cheers from Wisconsin. This is the Fixer 69. Cheers from Wisconsin, USA. Finally, I get to watch a live chat. I'm PC, but I enjoy learning about different things. Cool. Well, welcome. So taking chips off and putting them back on is good soldering practice. It certainly is. The really important thing is you don't want to be in a situation where you're afraid to do something like that. You know, you want to be in a situation where you can just whip something off clean and do that with impunity. You know, you don't want to be sort of sitting here thinking, oh God, you know, it might be a trace damage under this chip, but I can't. I mean, what am I going to do? It's under that chip. You got to be able to just say, if you suspect that's the problem, then you got to whip it off. Whip it off, clean it up, put it back on. You have to do it. Hole in the ozone layer. You got a methane issue over there, do you, Jay? Is that the issue we're talking about? Oh, something's stabbing me here. What's that? Something spiky. All right. So, oh yes, of course, that's the other thing I forgot to mention. Now, I don't think these will be a problem because these are leading to the processor direct slot. So I don't think they would actually impact the computer starting. But we do have some pretty nasty looking traces in this region as well. As you can see, they're all looking a little bit flaky. I mean, I think these ones here are still making a connection. But, you know... Oh, what? There's a capacitor missing. There's a capacitor missing. There's a capacitor missing. Should we put that on and test it before we finish? Look. Look. Look it. Look it. Oh, and that one's coming off too. Alright, so let's just fix these up. And then we'll test it, because this could be it. Look how bad that is. That one. That's on. That's staying. Capacitor missing, dear Liza, capacitor missing. I'm singing. I'm doing that singing thing. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like I lose subscribers when I do that. I hope the bolognese is good. I cannot wait until we get tomatoes again and I can make spaghetti sauce with it. Yes, I actually use tinned tomatoes when I make my sauce. You can actually, tinned tomatoes are remarkably good for these sorts of sauces. I get the good quality ones, because even the good quality ones are quite cheap. I don't buy the munched up ones, just get the whole peeled ones, and then I cook with those. I am going to need to scrape these with a scalpel. So hear that? Hear that, Steve? Mac 2 will fixed. Is that frustrating you? Steve has a Mac 2 that he's trying to fix at the moment, and it's giving him a fair bit of grief. It's toying with him. Okay. That is referred to as mechanical removal of corrosion. Now, one of the cool things about the 2SI is that a lot of these capacitors have actually got codes on them. So it makes it pretty easy to know what capacitor you need to put in place. I will, of course, need to get a working 2SI board or another 2SI board to find out what cap this is, but I'm pretty sure I have one in the donor pile, so I'll go do that. I might even have one behind me. I can, of course, measure this one. When it comes to sort of fixing really messed up boards, it kind of has to come down to a couple of things. First of all, are you getting paid for it? Are you getting paid enough money to warrant the time you're going to spend on it? Or is it something that you're doing for yourself and you're prepared to put in the extra time because this is something you really want? I mean, when I very first wanted to get hold of a Mac 2, for nostalgic reasons, I would have invested any length of time just about to get that working because I was so nostalgic about it. It's something I really, really wanted to have. But now I have 3 of them. So if someone sent me a battery damaged Mac 2 board, I would say, no, keep it. Because I don't need it anymore. I was going to use my tweezers for this, but I can't find them. So instead I'm going to just use this little component tester, which hopefully will allow me to test, or check what sort of size capacitor this is. So top view, top view, top view, top view. So this is my component tester here. It's got these little pads on the side so I can put the component here as long as I can make proper contact. I can't actually see anything at the moment because I don't have the right glasses on. There we go. So I'm going to change my glasses. Do you have 3? I've got more than 3 cases. I've got 2 2SI cases up there, and then I've got 3 working ones with cases. So I've got 5 cases and 3 2S and 3 functional 2SIs. That is why I'm going to sell this one. Okay, see if I can hold that down and get a reading from it. Oh, crap! Or just send it for a trip. Is it in? Yep, it's still in here. Okay, this time I'm going to watch what I'm doing, alright? I made the mistake of looking up before. I'm not going to look up, okay? I'm going to keep looking down. Another pair of tweezers? Something? My tweezers are sticky. Okay, so I'm not looking up this time. I'm not making good enough contact, unfortunately. So, we revert to the checking of the number, and it says on it... It is 1A. Is that what it says? One A4. 1A4. So that's 1A4. And we can actually look that up. But I may not need to because I might be able to just lift them straight off a donor board. So I'll just go to my donor boards now. Yeah. So there's a table floating around somewhere. I do have it, but there's a table floating around somewhere. It might even just be in my Mac technical files I've got on here that shows a table of all those codes and what they then mean. Finder, new. I hope I did the right thing and put it in my technical files thing. Mac technical files. Kemet capacitor codes. Look at Brucey with the smarts. Okay, so. Alright, here we are. I think this is it. Nope. What about this one? It's on one of these pages. I just got to find the friggin' thing. Page 2. 2, page 3. Page 4. No, page 5. This doesn't look like the one I'm used to. No. 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 There's just one table, but I'm just not sure which one it is. No. 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 Ah, I think this is the one. Here we go. Alpha character. A4. It is 10,000 picofarads. Okay, so what can someone tell me about 10,000 picofarads in microfarads? So that I don't have to think. Yeah. Jay's presence is spamming you. Yeah, look, I did talk about the super chats before. As I say, I just, you know, I think these days super chats, oh crap, just don't have the same. Look, I know that some of the big YouTubers do get lots of super chats, but I get fewer super chats now than I used to, with fewer subscribers. I don't know why. I'm assuming it's not me. I'm just assuming it's just the way things are now. I just don't think people super chat as not as much anymore. And as you say, I mean, if you've got Jay in the audience, I mean, do you really need a super chat? Okay, I'm going to go see if I can find another 2SI board here, just to confirm what the missing cap is. Ooh, actually, I've probably got a bloody working one over here. Stupid. Whoops, there goes my microphone. There we go. Because I did some work on a 2SI for someone. They're pretty easy to spot because they're a different size to all the other boards. They're a bit smaller than a 2CI. There it is. All right. All right. Okay. So we've got 1A4. Oh, crap. That looks like a 1A4 as well. So, super chat you by maining you junk. Yes, thank you. And I get lots of I love you, Bruce, from Steve. I mentioned this in my last live stream. That there's an inside joke to that, and that is that I had someone text me once, and they thought they were texting their missus, and said, "I love you, Bruce. Good night." No, they didn't say my name. They just said, "I love you. Good night." And it became a little bit of a joke. I mean, it's very embarrassing for that person. I do feel sorry for them, but it did become a bit of an inside joke. So I would just like to test this one here because the print on it is a little bit yuck. So I'm going to whip this off and just test the capacitance. Quick as a flash. Just use a reefer cap, yeah. Okay. Pop him down. Swap my glasses again so that I don't go poing. $10 nanofarad. What did we figure out? 10 nanofarad. 10 nanofarad. So is that 10,000 picofarads? Does that sound right? Because we figured out it was 10,000 picofarads, didn't we? 10,000 picofarads is 0.01 microfarad. And that would be 10 nanofarads, I think. I'm feeling very farady. Farad's, of course, named after Faraday, the person. Ah. 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 There we go. Let's put a little bit of extra solder on that one. Make him look nice. This 2SI that I have here doesn't actually work, but it is my intention to make it work at some stage. The frustrating thing about this one is this board that doesn't work here is one of the cleanest ones I've ever had my hands on. But it doesn't work. Probably need to inspect it more for missing components again, because I get caught out by that every now and again. Alrighty. Alrighty, Tony. Okay, so let's hope that I have, what did we say, 0.1 microfarad? That was what we said, wasn't it? 0.01 microfarad. What have I got? 10 nanofarad, that was it. Yeah. Oh, look at that. I've even, look what I did. Look. So how good am I? I mean, well, you know, not usually very good, but this time, I actually wrote on them. Look, A4. That's what we want, so A4. So I go with the replacements. Very pleased about that. I'm skeptical this will fix it. Come on. Where's your sense of adventure and your faith and stuff and things and all that? I have about a, I'll give it about a 30% chance of doing it. How about that? How does everyone feel about 30%? And let's face it, you've got to do the odds pretty low to start off with, because if you go up too high, you look like an idiot when it doesn't work. Using quite a lot of solder here because I am actually using a component that is way too small for the spot that I'm putting it on. These are 805s and it's meant to be, I think, 1012s going on there. Something like that. It's fine, they still work. There's nothing wrong with the capacitors, but they're just small. Physically small. And I am doing this at the wrong angle as well. So that's my own fault. I mean, I'm not trying to blame someone else for that. I am having trouble because I am lazy. How about that? So, those two caps are now replaced. There could well be other ones falling off or falling off or something like that. I mean, let's face it, that's, you know, it's a crusty spot there. Could be other crusties. Anyhow. Got to try it. You guys have all waited. You've been patient. I do appreciate it. Let's see what happens. Okay. So let's see what this 30% looks like. If it is actually going to make a difference for us. Plugged it in. We're ready. Ready to switch it on. Oh, look at that. I got a super chat from Jay. Thank you very much, Jay. 3, 2, 1, and power. White screen. Does it look a little bit bluish to you now? Still the same. Unchanged at this time. But I can't say I'm overly surprised. You know, I'll tell you what I am going to do, though. I'm going to take out the RAM. Because, I mean, you know, if there's problems with the RAM, it could be giving me a sad Mac chime for all I know, but I don't think you get anything on the screen when that happens. But I will take the RAM out. It won't take as long for a RAM check then either. So, RAM out. One more try. White screen. Just give it a few seconds. Lick the RAM while the power is on. One of the things that I do sometimes, which kind of seems stupid, but I'll switch off a computer and I'll press a chip down and I'll switch it back on again. Just like, you know, maybe one of the chips in a crusty spot. Because oftentimes if there is a crack or if there's a solder contact not making proper contact, you can, any blue SCSI activity. I expect that we'll get SCSI power. See, that's orange now. It's changing colours on us. We'll get SCSI power, but it definitely won't boot. I can do that and show you, but we'll just do that so in case anyone wants to have these questions answered. When I switch, when I switch this on, you see it. Whoops. When I switch it on, you see it do its little flicker startup, and then you basically see an activity light, and we're not getting any further white screen. But I mean, you know, we're not getting the. It's just not getting into the ROMs at this stage. So I probably should connect a speaker to it because maybe it is giving us a sad Mac chime. But you know, I'm going to press down the two sound chips because you never know with those. That one's white, not orange anymore. So anyhow, that's more of the same. I'm going to have to go doing more. Oh wow, I've got it blue this time. It's blue as. It's as blue as the day is long. Blue again. Am I blue? And I'll just do the CPU as the last one, and then we will call it a day. Yep. Okay, well, look, it was good we discovered a couple of missing components, and they're now back on there, so that's kind of good. But also, when you have a computer that has the level of corrosion that a component will just fall off, you then have to wonder about whether some of the pins on some of these chips are making proper contact. Potentially have to take them off. I'm blue, so the next step will be probably a little bit more inspection. The fact that I didn't even see there was a missing component means that I haven't inspected it terribly well at this stage. I've got to go around, look at all the stuff, the main areas of problem, which are around the bottom left-hand corner. This area is not too bad. That area is not too good. This area is not too good. And then just keep at it. And then, of course, I've got to get the bloody oscilloscope out as well and check these. Because these can end up failing after being in the ultrasonic cleaner. They're crystal oscillators, and they can sometimes get damaged by prolonged exposure to an ultrasonic cleaner. And this has been in an ultrasonic cleaner. So I have to get the oscope out and check that we've got all of these oscillators oscillating. Am I a fisherman? Not much anymore. I used to fish quite a bit when I was younger, and I did quite enjoy it. And then I kind of went off it. I don't know. I got sick and tired of the stink of fish on my hands. I've actually got a fishing rod just here somewhere. Quite a nice one. And all my lures and stuff are all over there. Things that are soldered aren't supposed to just fall off. Yeah, I know. Find the issue 5 minutes later and fix it off cam. Yeah, stranger things have happened. You know why that happens? It does happen. It truly does happen. I will often have a stream and I'll go, nah. And then I will switch the stream off and I will sit here silent. So I'm not talking. I'm not reading chats. I'm just sitting here silent. And then all of a sudden my brain starts working. And then I go, oh, what about that? And then I'll check it, and then I'll be like, it works. And unfortunately, I can't do anything about that other than just sitting here in silence on the live stream, which then makes that a little bit on the dull side to watch. So, yeah. There you go. There's the little pics. And I want to move these down too. Let me just do that. We've got, what was it? Top camera and scope camera. Top camera, scope camera. Scope camera. I'm going to put these in the corner. I just think they're better right in the corner like that. I don't know why I didn't put them there in the first place. Probably trying to replicate the view that I used to get in the other streaming software I used to use, Ecamm Live. Alrighty. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I'm sorry this stream went on for so long. That's 3.5 hours. So sorry guys. Thank you for everyone who has watched. I'm sorry if your bum is sore. I do appreciate you all watching and keeping me company and all that sort of stuff. We did have success here today. We got an LC2 that looked like an absolute train wreck. We got that up and running, and I'm going to give that an ultrasonic clean, and I think it'll come up looking pretty good. I might take some before and after photos and pop that up onto the old on the old Facey Booksies or something like that. And yes, Wiley Coyote, super genius. Just a reminder to everyone, I do wear shirts from QWERTY, and there are links in the description with a discount code if you want to buy some of their cool shirts, because their shirts are super cool. Yeah, Steve, are you going to work on something next? I'm guessing no, but anyhow. So, thank you everyone. Hope to see you at the next one. I may end up going back to doing a soldering kit for my next one, and I have a good time. Enjoy whatever you're doing for the rest of your weekend, and I will hopefully see you at the next one. So, what do I press? I press this one. Hang on. Don't forget to check out the names of the Patreons, the helpful people that are giving me money. It's very nice of them to do that. So, thanks again, and bye-bye.